I asked Nicola to drop me off. He's saying, I will drop you off, but say I love you.
I got kicked by Pimp and said he told me to keep studying and stop playing.
But then I became a support player.
He's a great in-game leader, but I think I'm better.
Yep.
I've got Snappy and Magic from Falcons, and I've got Nico and Monacy from G2, and I've got Machine.
Hi.
And we're going to talk for a period of time, and we'll see what we discuss. Now, quickly, gentlemen, are you voting for or against using the new update?
For.
Yeah.
Oh, straight into it. Is it because you're trying to nerf Donk?
No. I think it just makes sense. We're going into the RMR. I think it's stupid to stay like on the old stuff.
Is there
just
a vote
get into
happening?
the new.
Yeah,
I think
there is.
For the showdown, for example, when we had to play CSGO, that was annoying. So I think just move on straight away.
Yeah,
I mean, of course you vote for because you buff yourself and you nerf Dunk, no?
We'll see, as I said. I don't want to rush things. Might be good, but you never know with
All the
CSGO,
people,
man.
you know, we're getting older.
We're sitting still a bit. He's moving all the time. This guy, I'm just sitting in my corner. It's not good for me.
But
biggest advantage.
Do we not worry about like some bugs that we don't know about just yet? Because the update only came out like 10 hours ago.
We had bugs already.
He already found one.
It's a feature, I think.
Oh, a
For
feature.
example, did you know on Mirage, if you get smoked window,
Yeah, you can jump up.
you can hold stop mid and
I saw it.
I think Hades just put like a picture of that or something similar to that up on Twitter.
But don't they usually fix these quite fast after one?
Yeah.
Valve, we just didn't have an update for a month. Do you think we're gonna?
No, but this was a big one. Maybe they fix a lot of the small things now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
What was your initial reception though, Ilya? I know you're one of the guys that will just immediately jump into an offline server, test everything running around. As soon as that patch dropped, what was your reaction? What did you?
I don't know. I just saw like the picker's advantage increase or something, and 16 MS, and I tried with my friends to like at least hold the angle, and the guy is going out on you. Like I think you have now more advantage when you're holding than the guy who's picking you. So.
Wait, you tried this last night or this morning?
Last night.
You were awake
Last
when the
night.
update came out?
Yeah, of course.
I got in Prec Room at 3:30. He was playing Premier.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
No, man.
So you're well slept for the media day today.
No.
How much do you sleep on average?
Like 7 hours.
That's okay.
7:30.
If that was me, I wouldn't be here today.
How many hours sleep do you need?
At least 8.
At
minimum.
least 8?
Minimum.
Okay.
I prefer 9 actually.
Okay.
Getting older, you know.
I prefer to play more than sleep less.
But do you remember being this age? Were you probably doing?
Well, he's
the
only
same thing?
25.
I remember it,
Yeah,
but,
but you remember that's a while away.
True.
but I think, to be honest, he has been grinding a lot more than I ever have been. I guess it also shows a little bit now since he is so good. But
So, I don't know. We were hyping you up. You were a big game player, man. You were playing big.
used to be, but then I became a support player.
Yeah, but the impact you could have in games is like what a lot of players can't do, right? You know, you win that clutch, you get that multi-kill from that anchor position, and it changes around, and Snappy goes, fuck yeah.
I think the difference is I never wanted to be the star player. I never needed to be because I just wanted to win. And I think that has always been my focus. So even in Astralis, when I was really good at holding AO bars, we had trouble on B side, and I was just like, yeah, let me go monster, I guess. I mean, let me do something because I wanted to win, you know. And it's always been like that, but I guess the spiral has always been when there was issue, I had to take over because no one else wanted to do it, and I guess I just became a support player
Now
eventually.
you're back on AO pass.
Yeah, that's true.
It's come full
That is
circle.
actually true.
Well,
Full circle.
We were looking while we were talking through your matchup while you guys were qualifying, and we were looking at your history. You've been in the playoffs with 4 separate organizations: North, Astralis, Vitality, and now Falcons.
Yeah,
I don't know how many players have done. Well, actually, you've been in the playoffs a lot.
No, just Faze and G2.
Okay, so just 2 orgs.
With MOUZ, I haven't been in playoffs.
All right, and this guy rocks up and wins it.
Yeah, somehow.
Somehow.
I tried for like 7 years, and he comes the first year, the final, second year.
But you won it together.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And now everybody at the table has to stop Donk from doing it his first time. Is it really turned into that? Is it Spirit are the best, Donk is the best player in the world? Is that the actual conversation right now? Is it like, nah, come on? Nah?
I said they're going to finals.
Nah?
Okay.
Big expectations.
My read. Us versus them in the final.
Well, who has the easier side of the bracket?
I think it's tough to predict right now.
I know what they'd say.
But I definitely think that if you have to look at the teams in total, there is no doubt that their bracket is tougher. But I do think Spirit right now is definitely a top contender right now, with Donk going full crazy right now. But yeah, their bracket is definitely more
I
different.
mean, the experience is on their side of the bracket, but on our side of the bracket, you have Spirit that have looked amazing, and then you have a team from Poland that is gonna get some arena backup, right? So I think mean, it's always when you get to the playoff, most teams have done good, I would say.
And for a newer player stepping onto that stage as well, like, I mean,
Oh yeah, is he going to shit his pants?
well, yeah.
I don't
That
think
was actually where I was going with it. I was trying to find a nice tactful way. You know, it's definitely possible the guy gets consumed by the moment, right? Like,
Yeah, but I don't
I
think
hope
so.
so.
I hope so also, but I don't think so.
no. Just built different.
I just think a lot of the young players that are coming to the stage now doesn't have a problem with it.
Really?
I think it's something, if you have it, you have it. And a lot of the time, if you don't, you never get it.
Oh, why was that so profound?
Yeah, right. Well, then he's got it.
Yes.
He's got it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you just enjoy the stage. Like, I don't know, it was my dream to always play on the stage and to get these emotions. And they have really also good psychologists in the team and spirit.
The guy that yells a lot.
Can you come a little closer
Yeah.
to the mic so they can all hear that?
They have also good psychologist, mental coach in the team who's helping them a lot. And I think he's like really helping Donk to perform good.
Yeah.
Okay, slightly Donk adjacent. What about Shiro though? Because in some of the bigger games, he, not always there.
He has been falling through a little bit on stage, no? At least from what I remember.
Historically, yeah.
But I also think like he has been struggling a bit in CS2. He hasn't been the same. Even now he's having like I think good stats at this event, but it's still Donk show. So I don't know. I mean he's gonna get there eventually, but I think he still needs experience. He didn't have too many big stage games I think in his career, so I think he will find himself pretty soon.
Yeah, but I also think. You wanna go?
I mean, at least from my experience, is that a lot of times people they need to experience good moments on stage before they actually start turning it around. And if you don't have those experiences, but you only have bad experiences, then it can kind of turn into like a mental barrier. And I think once you kind of get over that hurdle, I guess it also like releases a lot of pressure on the shoulders of people who's having those issues. So, I mean, you coming in and just going ham in your first tournaments on big stages also helps in the sense that you never really tried being in the opposite way, because you never really tried going in with 0.8 rating in big games and then like kind of falling through. Of course, you tried that in games, but you also had the good moments very early in your career, and I also think that helps quite a lot. I mean, even with me, I think when I started playing on the big stages, I had people who already won majors and had a lot of experience, and I could kind of go in freely and say, okay, I have like these 4 guys, and if I play bad, they will carry me. And I got over this hurdle because they could kind of carry me over that burden.
All right.
I wonder if there was ever, did you ever have fear of failure, or did you kind of just know that that wasn't an option?
Fear of failure? No, I don't think.
No.
I think maybe when I played Katowice for the first time when I joined G2, I think I had like something, because like when I was playing games for the first time on the big events, there was too much attention towards me. Like everywhere where I go, like in socials, people were writing about that Monis is playing his first big event, how he's gonna perform, something like that. And maybe something that could like affect how I'm gonna play, maybe like fear of, I don't know, play bad a little bit, something like that, I don't know. But fear of failure, no, I don't think.
But I think, as Emil say, I think having success gives you confidence. Like when you go to a quarterfinal, you get past that, then the next quarterfinal you won't feel anything, and the same for the semi and the same for the final. Because for me, I obviously had a lot of failure in my career, to be honest. But I know Dallas wasn't the biggest, but when I won that, then when we played Cologne, I know we got smacked by these guys, but it was not because I was feeling, any tension or anything, because as soon as you get over one hurdle, then the next one becomes easier, kind of.
Yeah. Well, we did talk about it being a mental game, right? And this is kind of expanding on that. Now, you've had the ups and downs. When we go back to the final against Faze in 2022, and I don't know, have you seen the video that ESL put out of the Mirage game?
Yeah.
Right. That is the best way to tell a Counter-Strike story, getting the comms, getting all of that insight, and it's really enthralling for the viewer. But you watch that back, and you look at that game. What are you thinking when you watch that match back, especially in that way?
One thing I remember from that, when we said Jax is the worst player on the
That was funny.
But there's smack talk going either way, right?
No,
Like we
of
all
course.
know that when because on those mics, right? You're trying to G your teammates up. You're trying to build the confidence there. Of course, you're going to be talking trash about the opponent.
That's true.
But I mean, it was interesting to me to know it happens at all skill. Like it's not like it just suddenly stops when you're getting a salary. You're hyping up your teammates in the same way. You're chatting smack about your opponents in the same way, and nothing changes in that respect. What stood out to you?
But yeah, watching this video is just like, it was nice to watch, but then you remember that you lost the final, so it's like, it's not easy to get over it again. But it was a great final, even though it was 3 maps. It was very exciting game to play, to watch, and I think that's probably the most important thing. We had a lot of fun as well. I just wish we could maybe get to 4th or 5th map as well. I think it could have gone either way. So, But yeah, I think the big part played that we didn't have a coach behind us at that point.
It was Amanek, right?
Yeah, it was Amanek who stood in for some reason. But
For some reason.
Okay.
but yeah, our coach got COVID back then, and you know, like coaches usually have big impact on the like big games. You know, when to take a timeout, when to calm us down, to make a right call at the right time. So that's what we struggled as well, and then. Yeah, it sucks, but I'm happy that we won the next one.
It's a few little cans that have just been opened there for me. So if I could go with the first one, obviously very exciting game. You play very exciting Counter-Strike, all your teams do, and we saw that brought in with the Falcons game just yesterday.
I was so happy to be casting you guys. It was a stark contrast, man. There's like
to the EF Navi game. Yeah.
Every T round, I'm like, what's going to happen now? Oh my God, we're doing something. Instantly, there's something happening all over the map.
And
Fast Counter-Strike.
That's the thing. You guys play fast, exciting CS. You guys don't only play fast, like, well, you don't either, but like you guys all have the gear, right? And same as Faze. And like in fighting, like I don't really watch a lot of UFC. I listen to podcasts about it, and they say like styles make fights, right? I think it's the same with CS. Like, I really struggle to watch VP because I respect what
I
they
struggle
do.
to play VP.
I respect it,
Exactly, 'cause
right?
it works.
But it's not like entertaining, and I imagine it's boring in the server. Like, I had SDY on HLTV Confirm the other day, and he was like, it must be depressing to, or something along those lines, to play that style, like the worst way to play CS. But you guys play CS that gets the energy flying, and that's what I love watching. Like, I don't know. I don't know what question I was going to ask from here. I kind of just wanted to say thank you. Like, thank you for playing fun CS, because it makes it really entertaining from our standpoint. And I guess
There's a question in there.
yeah, probably somewhere.
There is something. I mean, well, I've likened VP style to like a siege. You know, like in a medieval siege where you just park up outside their house, and if you eventually
Well, you're starving
you have to give
to death.
up. You have to give up. At some point, you got to leave your castle, or you're starving. So something like that. But in terms of this clash of styles, it just got me thinking. Like, we all acknowledge that there is logic in that style of play. You just said you hate playing against it, right? Like,
Maybe
there's a
because
reason you hate it.
You have to be so disciplined, kind of,
Right.
the whole match, kind of, because you know they're gonna wait for you.
Yeah,
So it's about, when you play VP, it's about not making too many mistakes. And when you play, for example, G2 Vitality, it's about making good, like making a lot of plays and stress them out more. But when you play VP, it's about don't fuck up too much.
Yeah,
Stress
they're
them
trying
out.
to break you mentally.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's a kind of a mental as well.
Yeah, they're trying to break you mentally, I think, in the game. It's tough to wait for them every time. They're playing annoying, and
But they have actually sped up a bit. I see, like
they
we
definitely
were
done
surprised,
it.
like doing monster rushes and A rushes on Inferno, overpass monster rush, and so they have sped up a little bit, I would say.
But it didn't turn out too good, no?
No, it bombed out.
Well.
Is that surprising to see them
Yeah,
bomb
I was
out?
a bit surprised because I think that is kind of like what they are always good at, is like making it quite far, in the sense that they're always consistent. Yes, I don't see them as title contenders, but I always see them as a team that can beat anyone on a good day. But at the end of the day, I think their problem is that they only have one style, and if that doesn't work, they don't really have anything else to rely on. And I think that is probably why they're experimenting a little bit as well, to get that fast pace into the game. Also now that it's CS2, because let's be honest, the riflers are a bit stronger now. Maybe it's going to be nerfed now. Yeah. Most likely it is, but it is going to change a bit for them, because, it's just their style is not good at standing still and like waiting for mistakes and stuff like that, because people are just like swinging you all the time.
There's also certain maps that invite for fast play style, I would say. Maps like Ancient, where like a lot of the time A or Banana has to be open if they're fighting mid or cave. So it's like some maps invite for a faster play style, and then some maps like Overpass or Mirage, you can play kind of slow and feel the map a bit more. So I think they have to, on certain maps, you need this fast style also.
But I don't know, like, why are they pushing that style? Because like they don't really have the players for that style anymore. Like when I played with Fleet, like in FPL and with Fame, like they are not the slow-paced players. Mir as well. Like I don't think it's their game, So I think if they could balance it out a bit more, I think they could find a better comfort zone for everyone on the team. That's just my point of view. But it seems like Jamie is just pushing always, like or the coach. I don't know whose call it is, but they're always pushing for the same style. Like no matter who they bring, it's same like with Furia, like whoever they change, they're just playing the same game all the time, and it's just I think it's not working. But they won a major, so who am I to say? So yeah.
That's the confirmation bias, though, right? The fact that they can turn to that and go, well, doing this, we won a major. So I guess they can return to that, even if it's not working for them in current meta. That Furia one.
But I also
is
think for
another
VP
great
it's a
example.
little bit tough, because they didn't have any partner spots in any leagues. So I would also say they didn't have that many chances. So I think we'll see this year if it can work consistently, because now they're going to be in all the tournaments, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they're playing also weird. Like, for example, the guy's dropping op to Jame. Jame has 2.7 and he's dropping
That's
AK
another
back.
story.
Yeah.
The guy's playing with Glock.
Yeah. Oh,
What's this?
the Sanji treatment has lingered on
Try
ever
doing that to Emil and see what he will say.
Oh, I had 6K. I had 6K, and I was like, "Can you drop me up?" He was like, "No, not really, but I can."
if I have to. Yeah.
I did it, but I also excused after, because in general, when someone asks for something, it's very bad to kind of like get annoyed from it, because already there you start the round with the wrong mindset. Like the guy who asked for it is gonna be like, "Oh, this guy is a little bit annoyed with me asking," and then the whole round just kind of escalates. So I also excused after and saying
You
that's my bad.
get a bit more AKs
You
now,
want to say
right?
what I told you?
You get my AK every round.
For the op, well, he asked me, like, I asked Nicola to drop me off. He's saying, I'll drop you up, but say I love you. It was 10 seconds, I didn't say anything, but I said after.
Had to think about it.
Taking using your manners to an extreme.
Absolutely, yeah.
Showing your respect,
Yeah,
I
say
suppose.
please.
Yeah, okay. But I guess, considering Sampai's form recently, understandable maybe you didn't want to drop him an op. It was good. He played well in your match against Na'Vi, though. I think Sampai says and I remember talking to you about Sampai on stages as well. So if he can perform to the level we know he can, it's been a rough start for him in CS2.
But I also think it's a bit different for the Orbers, because Emil said it, like the riflers for 7-8 years have to adapt constantly to meta changes, and the Orb they didn't have to adapt to anything at all, barely. But now with the Pega's advantage, all of the Orbers had to adapt for a period, and I think now you see all the Orbers coming back, and now they're getting the Pegas, so now they're going to be fine again. But overall, I think a lot of Orbers had a little adaptation period, but I actually think both at Blast and also the last 2 games when Pius found his level again. He was really good, so I'm not too worried. And now he's gonna get the buff again from also this guy, sadly.
Yeah,
sadly.
But like the thing is, I think the AWP being such a key talking point for all these years, and that player being such a focus, and how instrumental it is in the rounds. I think, given the riflers a little bit more time would have been nice. It would have been great to not go straight back to AWP being the focus, because I remember in 1.6 you'd have different patches where it'd be like really tactical or it'd be really skill based, and like the AWP was still pretty important, but I don't remember it just being the main talking point all the time. But the game has obviously evolved a lot since then, and I don't know. I just think that this whole donk conversation has been fun. I know people might not like his yelling, but the whole idea that this kid is just coming in and the way that he's approaching the game and just mauling people, like, okay, cool, we've got like something different to talk about than another flashy AWPer. Right, smash it.
Yeah, sick of those flashy
we keep getting
AWPers.
plenty of you, mate. Like they're coming out of the woodwork. It'd be nice to have a bit of a different storyline for a while. But I guess this is the thing, and this is a more status quo type question. One I wanted to ask a bit more generally to you guys. So we have a new game that's come out. Even though it's similar, it's not the same. Right? There's obviously a lot of changes, the feel, and we all knew that it was going to come with updates, which we've just seen overnight. And then you had at the same time this massive shift of rosters. Right? You guys have a whole new team. You guys brought in a new player and a new coach. And then you look across the board at almost all the teams. Everybody in the last 6 months has pretty much made a roster change, right? Like pretty much. So how does the scene feel at the moment? Does it? I don't want to throw this out there.
Temperature check.
But does it feel weak because everybody's still building back up?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, like for this event, I feel like anyone in playoff can win a tournament.
Yes.
Like literally, like anyone can go out there and lift a trophy. And that's what I felt at the World Final as well. It's so, I don't want to say random, but I feel like everyone is on the same level. No one has found, like I cannot say for one team, like, okay, they're playing amazing CS, like they're playing very good. Vitality was playing like pretty good for some time, like for 2 events. But that was, for me, like clearly just the confidence Counter-Strike. They were just swinging everywhere and killing everyone. So I think it's a bit random, but it's also cool that it's so competitive. But I think in the upcoming like Command or 2, we will see someone more stable and maybe creating an era or something.
Okay.
I mean, I think at least if you look back at the times, I mean, Vitalis was winning because they had good individual players who was just stepping up at the right time, and like a lot of teams was in shambles. There was like no real top 10 teams in the world that was like stable or actually not without roster changes or stuff like that. And yes, they did change one player. They got a new player in. I mean, he was just like obviously just feeling it from the beginning, and they were just winning because of that. With Saivu and Spinks and these players who's just playing really good. And right now I feel the same as like Nico was saying. Like there's no good like top 5 teams in the world like stable. I think anyone can win a tournament right now, and that is obviously a little bit dangerous because obviously in the future, like 6 months, you will probably see that it's gonna like be more normal and more consistent. At least from my point of view.
I also think the fact that the only 2 teams that wasn't actually doing a lot was Vitality and Faze when the 2 Blast event was happening, and the other teams that was good was like Spirit maybe and VP, but they weren't attending those events, so some of the actual competitors weren't playing those events, so it was kind of hard to see who were the best teams at the world at the time. And I also think MR12 with the economy now has a bit of an impact to a certain degree because you can easily get off to a very rough half. It doesn't take a lot sometimes to get let's say a 9-3 half for the enemy. If you go down 3-0 and then you lose and you go down 5 or 6-1 and you have barely had any weapon rounds, it can spiral out of control pretty fast now. And I think that is something that maybe makes it a little bit more random right now.
I think, Bill, like with what's just been said there, it doesn't feel like anybody has established dominance of the meta of CS2 or the way the game is being played at the moment, not even CS2. Obviously with CS2 we have the whole new smoke dynamic and stuff, but we had the period where Astralis are the ones who fine-tuned and showed everybody the way that utility could be used, like picture perfect, not just throwing nades for the sake of it, like actually throwing nades with a purpose. And we have had a big period of time now where there's just been a decision tree that's been growing. Every one of you has come up with a solution to a problem with like a blocking smoke and a flash through or this or that. And it feels like we're waiting for that next development. Or do you guys not think there will be another development like that because of the way Counter-Strike is now thought about and played? It feels like it's such a high level of the, this happens, so this is the response type game is how CS is at the moment.
I think there's still going to be a lot of development, especially on T side with using grenades and smokes in general. It's still not something that comes natural to players, but you don't get blocked in areas in the same way as long as you have a HE grenade. And we tried a few times, we were like, yeah, but we don't need to wait for the smoke. We have a nade, just nade it and go through it.
You also don't know what Valve are gonna bring in the game as well. Like they're bringing some new stuff with HE, for example, and the smoke. Now the smoke is also going, like it's releasing faster, like in CS:GO. They changed it in the update, and also you have like the shadow of the smoke as well, like so people cannot see shadow when the guy is walking through the smoke. And I think people who is gonna walk through the smokes, they will have advantage. They'll have advantage to kill you as well. So like it also depends on Valve what they're gonna bring as well.
That's a good point.
But I think as long as we have the MR12 with this economy, it's gonna be random, in my opinion, because it's just there's too many like eco rounds. You win a pistol, you are like if you win both pistols, you already got half of the rounds that you need. So that's what makes it random. And for me, it's just mind blowing if you're going into the major with best of one and MR12 with this economy. I think that's gonna be the most random RMR ever, in my opinion. So
yeah, I think you can get very far with winning some pistol and having 1 or 2 gimmick moves, which will get you a weapon round that maybe the opponent haven't seen. Some random play that will get you a free round, and then, as Nico say, you can get to 10 or 11 rounds, and then you just need a few more.
Is that another problem with having so many new teams at the moment? Because you don't really have the same data on everybody as what you would when these rosters have been together for a longer period of time, right? You guys played Mirage yesterday for the first time. It's like, good luck playing Counter-Strike by player positions, right? They're having to learn on the fly.
We had 3 Mirage A players.
You kept changing
they had no clue who was playing where, I think.
But that's exactly what you're saying. Like that there in that game works. And then, you play another one, maybe you get away with it again. And you play a third one, maybe you can still be a bit cheeky. But after that, people are going to have a good idea of what you're doing.
Yeah, but I mean, also you don't need as much like your playbook doesn't need to be as advanced now because you can literally get away with preparing 3 or 4 weapon rounds kinda, which I think is a bit weak because before you had to kinda adapt to the opponent during the half. Now you barely have to adapt because when you have to adapt, it's like 7-3 or something.
It's over.
Maybe expanding the side point about adaptation is that there's a bit of a conversation now about whether or not the people are interested to see if Donk can adapt to people watching the tape and understanding his moves. Is that something, Nico, Monacy, you guys have experienced over your career where when you first showed up, all of your stuff was fresh, it was yours, no one really knew how you like to play, what your tendencies were? Did you encounter that where suddenly people knew what to expect from you and that made making the game more difficult?
Yeah, I think I said somewhere in the interview that what advice I can give to Donk.
Yeah.
I said like, that he needs to rewatch his games, because when I was playing first my official games, then people were adapting towards me, and every pick what I was doing, like I was getting countered, and I had to play like a little bit different, but like to use my picks and advantages a little bit different. But I don't know, as soon as you see like how he's shooting, like he doesn't, I think here he's just playing simple Counter-Strike and killing people.
Yeah, just shooting him in the head.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess.
He's moving a lot. I've never seen it I don't see him standing still ever. When I watch his POV, I think he really understood how in CS2 to use this peeker's advantage, because he's never the one who gets peeked. He's peeking into people everywhere.
He's also
and he's really understood that, and I'm super shit at it.
Same.
But can we stop giving him advice?
Yes, we should.
Legit. Like,
He's good enough.
I let him learn the hard way like everyone else. Like there was no reason for it.
Sounds like you.
And you need to stop helping him.
Giving him all the shortcuts, mate. Giving him all the shortcuts.
Well, I think like players need to stop talking about him as well, because the more we talk about him, the more
Giving him power.
Yeah, it's just people like you cannot respect him. Like if you give him space, he will use it. So just don't talk about him. And
I mean,
he's good. He is very good, but I think we can stop him.
Okay,
Oh,
all
man,
right.
you're getting me hyped.
No,
Okay.
but I also think with star players, it's like you can never kind of fully stop them. You just have to kind of hope, like you can slow them down a bit, and then it's still a team game. One player is not gonna win the full match. Like we played Vitality so many times. Of course, we knew Cyber was good, but it's not only about Cyber. You need to beat the whole team and find ways to slow the star players down. What we didn't do in the Cologne final against these two, but you know that is how you need to do it. It's not about countering one player or whatever. The star players will get their frags.
Okay.
So we're talking about team players. Did you have any way you wanted to take this?
No,
I was
go.
interested. I wanted to ask a little bit because two of the largest names, or the ones I hear getting the most praise in the 6th seat in a team, saw Sonic. You know, both names you guys are familiar with, and I wanted to kind of try and develop an understanding of what it is that they provide outside of, you know, the things we're assuming they're doing, you know, in terms of homework. But when it comes to being a difference maker, when it comes to, you know, you say it's a team game, I assume that the coach is considered a member of that team.
Yeah, of course. I think the thing with good coaches, they kind of just make people feel confident, and they get people to have a nice feeling inside their body before they go into a game, and they know when to step in and when to not do it. And also, they kind of also need to be clever, because if they're not clever, you don't respect their opinion on CS. And I think the best coaches have a good combo of both. And obviously, this is why I loved working with both Saw and now Sonic, because they are really smart outside and inside the game, and they know how to react to different things.
Okay.
Interesting.
You've had a long time with Sonic.
Too long, man.
Your boy.
Getting tired of him, man.
5 majors. You only have 4.
I'm gonna have to leave him eventually because I need to win as many majors as him.
Oh, shit.
And then I can come back, you know. But no, I think for me, what makes him special, I mean, obviously I can only speak about Sonic, is that I think he's very, very good at creating a team. And when I say it's like this whole team bonding, like this whole like unit, like because you respect him a lot because you know he is a smart coach inside of the server. But outside of the server, he is like a very good friend that you trust, and you can always like ask for help, or you always know if you need something, you can ask him in the middle of the night and he's gonna respond and be there for you. And I think he has a very good mix between being professional but also being a friend that you can trust. And obviously, I've worked with a few other coaches, but I've never tried someone who is as good at creating a team that he is. I think he managed to do it in Astralis, also with Vitality, and also obviously we are on our way to do the same, but that takes time, of course. And I think that is something that has always inspired me, is that the way he can actually manage to put random people together. I mean, obviously we have known each other from other tournaments, but let's be honest, we haven't talked like a lot. And just suddenly you can create this bond and actually become like a family. And I think that is something he is a huge part of.
Really interesting.
It also helps that he's just breathing CS. Like he's really a hard worker. Like you can count on him at any hour of the day.
What a legend.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
this
Really
guy and Danny, it's a tough combo for a guy like me. Trust me.
Too much CS?
No, I mean, I obviously
Putting
I
into
also,
work.
yeah.
Well, I always see you in deathmatch in the mornings. You're in
I
the
need
garage.
it these days.
I understand why you're in there, but I still see you in there. You know, you could be slacking and not doing it at all, but you know, you're putting in the hours.
But I think as soon as you lose kind of the fire, then it is time to hang up. the
You're also
most.
playing deathmatch?
Yeah, but poorly. I just go in there so people can shoot me, mate. I just go in to go, oh, look who's playing deathmatch today. Oh, this guy's getting warmed up. You know, you see all the mate. I got to do something with my time. We only cast them 1 or 2 games a day, so I got the whole morning to be doing whatever the hell I want.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, we asked about a well-established coach. You have a brand new coach, big man, big personality. He was your security guard at the award show. How's Taz going as a coach?
He's very good, very good. Yesterday he was a big part of our wins. He had a very good motivational, like not speech, but you know he had a good words to spread to us when we were obviously having to win 2 games. It's not easy, so he helped us a lot yesterday. But overall, his game understanding is very good. But you obviously need time to adapt to the new meta. He hasn't been competing for a while, so it takes time. But as probably ZonyK and so, like, he's also super hardworking. I have never seen a guy work harder than him. He's watching CS nonstop as well, and he's trying to sometimes do too much, in my opinion, as well. So that's super nice to see, and him and Rasmus are also getting very well together. So I'm looking forward to working with him more.
We have a good balance. I'm playing and he's watching. That's a good balance.
Yeah.
But he's really good. Yeah, I like him as a person as well. That's the most important, I think, if you have a person who is really, like, who's a good person, like, you make fun with him and you can speak everything with him, what you want. Like, it's just a good thing.
Now, I want to just circle back in and focus a little bit more on the tournament just quickly. So what we'll do is, you guys are going up against Faze. So why don't you predict that matchup for us? And then I'll get your opinions.
Oh, this is great. I like that.
So
Okay.
Faze versus G2, quarterfinal on the other side of the bracket. What's your expectations?
I think if we play on the old patch, Faze wins, and if we play on the new, G2 wins.
Wow. Okay, simple as that, huh?
I mean, I'll be honest. These 2 guys need to play really well if they want to win. But I guess you're used to that pressure. So, I mean, a lot is on your shoulders right now. Not to talk bad about anyone, but obviously, I think Honda has had a rough start on CS2. And they are going to need you. So, I think G2 wins if you guys perform to the normal level. But other than that, obviously, FaZe is a team that you can never really know what brings to the table. I mean, if all 5 individuals kicks off, they can be the best team in the world. And on the other hand, they can also be a team that goes out in group stage. So, yeah, I mean, you guys might all 5 also peak at the same time, and then it's going to be a really good quarterfinals. I hope for that. So I think G2 wins because you are pretty consistent, you two.
And you're sitting in front of him right now. Yeah. So, now, look, obviously, stage matches between FaZe and G2 always bangers. I have reports that Carrigan was in here earlier. Similar question was asked. He seemed to think it was going to go 3 maps and they were going to win. First one overtime or something along those lines. So what's the prediction from the G2 camp about the matchup against FaZe?
I think it's going to be super, super nice game. Taz versus Neo as well. That's also going to be exciting for them.
No.
I think the crowd as well. I'm not sure who they're going to support more, so we'll find out. But in terms of the game, I think, as they said, I think it's a bit a random matchup. But I think if we show up individually, or if they show up as well, it can go both ways, in my opinion. But we're feeling confident, and I think if he plays like he did throughout the whole tournament, if I help him a bit, I can see us taking it.
All right. Modest, are you going to put FaZe in your pocket?
I don't know.
Yes.
I'm coming without expectations usually to the game, but I think it's a good opportunity to destroy them for the last Katowice that we played on the stage. That's it.
I love the word
Nice.
you chose there. Destroy. Not beat, destroy.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. I think something fun about the Neo Taz story that doesn't get spoken about a lot is in the early days, they weren't friendly.
Yeah.
And then they joined, and then they had the legacy together, right? It's something that I think a lot of people overlook because they don't know the very old history. And they used to be enemies, then they were teammates, and well, now enemies again, at least while on the stage.
There's a lot of the Golden Five in Katowice this year, right?
Yeah, Pasha should be here, I imagine.
Yeah, he's going to
Cuban,
show up.
obviously.
Cubans.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's now go the other way around. They're going to be playing against ENCE, Snappy against his old organization with Diha still there. You've got Glaive going up against Magisk and ZonyK. So what's the prediction in that matchup from the two of you? What do you think is going to happen?
Falcons 2-0, they have ZonyK.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
I said that they're gonna go to the final mainly because of the experience. I think both ENCE and Spirit they're both very new to the kind of like these stages, and now they have Magisk as well, and he has been always very good in these games. So I just see them like getting easier over the edge than for ENCE. I think ENCE, as soon as they face crumble, or like if they don't have a good start, I think it's going to be very hard for them to come back into the game. And Spirits, well, I'm going a bit too far now, but yeah, I think Falcons is taking it versus ENCE.
Damn. Okay, gentlemen,
hope so.
What's your thoughts on the matchup? Are we going to stay humble?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's good to be humble, but I'll be honest, I do believe we have a good chance to beat them. I think we have the experience on our hand, and you know, we tried being in the arena multiple times. At least myself, you've been there once, and actually the other guys haven't been at Spodek, but they have played on Cologne and big stages before. So yeah, I mean, I believe we will go out and win. But I always go with that mindset that I can beat anyone. So
same.
that is my mindset.
But I think a lot of it also comes down to what Nico said. I think they have the whole arena with them, and if they get the good starts, it's going to be a tough match. But I think if we can crack them a bit and get some momentum, I think we'll take it.
Is it going to be a 2-1 because of Vertigo, or you think you just put them away 2-0?
We both have the same permaban.
Aha. Okay. Aha. All right. The plot thickens.
I mean, I'm a god on Inferno, so I'm not playing Inferno.
Someone's happy to take the risk.
Well, the bit is a bit different though.
It's fine. I know every utility. It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. That was lots of fun.
real.
And good luck in your matches, and we'll see who comes out the victor. Thanks, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi guys, welcome to the Players Podcast. I'm YNK here with Maniac and Glaive and Diha from ENCE, Shue and Zershan from MOUZ before their playoffs here in Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. So to kick it off, I guess, guys, expectations fulfilled, right? Like everything going as planned?
Almost. I mean, it was some good days and then a bit of a turnaround yesterday, I would say.
What happened yesterday?
Yeah, what happened?
I think we lost to a team. I'm not sure what team it was, but some team we lost to. And I'm trying to forget it already, but yeah.
Yeah, we made sure that you would not forget.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Anything you would want to say? Anything you have on your heart, on your chest right now after this game?
Yeah, you better watch out.
Yeah, I mean, see you next time, guys. Next time you're done.
Final.
Yeah, Next time we're going the whole way. We're going 2-1, not only 2-0.
So you take one map the next time?
Yeah, one map for sure.
Step by step.
One map for sure.
You played some really good teams this whole tournament, right? You opened in the group stages with Vitality, take them down, G2, 2-0 them, right? So what made it different against MOUZ? What makes MOUZ so good that you guys struggled with them?
It's hard to say, to be honest. I feel like, of course, they played really good, but I felt like we also played not the same way as we used to. I think we were a bit like mentally drained, I would say, after all these days, because we put in so much work the last few days for all these kind of teams, and I felt like that we didn't play like the other days, but I also felt like that MOUZ was like punishing every mistake and doing really good individual plays and playing good as a team as well. So I think that was what made it harder.
Yeah, it's always a specific match, this whole like semi-final or quarter-final. You guys had already done something quite historic, making it to Spodek. Yeah. Did you feel that people didn't really have that extra 10% in the game, that extra hunger while you were playing, or did it just feel like a normal game?
I mean, we tried to like talk a bit about it before the game. Like, we know that we achieved more than we came for already. Like, Spodek was like a dream for us, and just going into the main event, we already not exceeded expectations, but probably for some because of the bracket we'd had with Big Heroic and Astralis. So we were pretty happy just going into the arena, and I think with all the happiness, there's also like kind of a fall down afterwards. Yeah. It's just something like when you win a tournament after, you can go a bit down, right? And I think maybe that's what happened to us. So now we pick ourselves up, and now we need to realize that we're not here to play in quarterfinals. We're here to like try to go the whole way, right?
Yeah, I can understand it. I mean, for both teams, we're going to touch on it. Of course, making Spodek is something quite incredible. The Polish angle is very obvious. But for you as a player that people might have discarded at the time, that people have thought, you know what, this is it. Oh, wait a minute, he's back. And now he's back in this Polish roster. What the hell is going on? At what point did you start realizing that things were clicking and that you would possibly find this kind of success? And now you're sitting here with the playoffs opening the door in Spodek.
I think I realized it at the Astralis game.
Okay, yeah.
So it was pretty late. I mean, the practice was good, but not as good as we have been playing here, I would say. So I was kind of surprised that we are able to play like we have been doing and beating all these Tier 1 teams. And yeah, for me it feels really good. And I know for the other guys as well, it feels amazing. And kind of like redeeming myself a bit because it wasn't the best kind of years in Astralis in the latest. So yeah, it feels really amazing.
I think for you guys, I wanted to ask about, obviously, you know, Frozen goes to Faze, you get Brolan, you guys are playing great, straight into the semi-final. But from that sort of, you know, Frozen, he wasn't much older than you, but he was more experienced, he was on the Tier 1 scene more. How do you sort of make up for that, not in-game, but more in that leadership aspect and losing like a veteran player? Is it just everyone else stepping up a little bit? Does someone else take that sort of a role now in your team?
I think it's a little bit of everyone. Now everyone knows that they have a lot more responsibility to take care, especially after David left. With Ludwig coming in, Brolan, he's done a really good job of adapting and fitting into the role and also being a mentor for us as well. He has been on the scene for a very long time, so the qualities that he shows to us also, it's motivating us and we are learning from it. So I think the responsibility was split and we knew we had to step up a lot more than what we had previously. And I think that's exactly what we did.
Talk to me a little bit about just Brolan as a player, because personally I also felt like, you know, he was insane for a good while. Then these, you know, he goes where all players go to die, to NIP. And I always wanted to believe that he's way better than what he was showing. So I'm glad he got this opportunity. So tell me a little bit how he's like as a player and how he's been doing in MOUZ so far.
So with Brolan, lately he's just been in the shadows basically. Kind of people would forget about him or how good he was, especially. Now that he's back with people that are his age group, I think this is a huge game changer for him. That he's finally able to have fun again, smile.
Right. It feels good to see.
Yeah, enjoy the game basically. Yeah. And that's what we wanted to have whenever we brought him in. Just make sure that he's coming in and he's having that enjoyment again. Being the same, having the same motivation as he had before. And I think we did a really good job on that. And now it's just a matter of moving forward with him.
I think previously in his teams he had a whole lot of frustrations at times, so like roles, that was a huge topic. Did it just fit in what you guys wanted from him and what he wanted to do, or did you, because I know for example you have a tendency to adapt a lot when players come in to make it work because you can. Did you need to do that a lot, or did it just sort of clicked and I worked with what he wanted to do as well?
Yeah, I think to touch on also the last question, I think Lude, like Brolan, is an amazing player. I mean, everyone knows that he was top 20 twice and stuff, but I mean, he's really incredible, to be honest. I was not sure where he would be when he came to Abu Dhabi to stand in, but I mean, he played incredible and he was there all the time. He's mentally very prepared, which is very surprising for me, especially because he came from a low spot. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's a great player, and adapting-wise, like, he fit like a glove to the team, I feel like. I think also everyone was willing to make sacrifices for him, including myself, of course, if I needed to change anything. And yeah, I mean, we just worked out, especially between captain and coach, what makes the most sense between roles. So, for example, on Ancient City side, now I play mid because I'm aggressive, so it kind of fits the roles that I can switch. So, yeah, I mean, we just tried the best to make him comfortable, but I think that he's incredibly talented and also incredibly versatile.
I think we see that element of, you know, some players who were struggling, moving into a different environment, having a little bit more fun and playing much better. So I wanted to ask you, Diha, as well. In the old ENCE lineup, you guys were really good. You were top 2, basically. A lot of finals, only 1 trophy, but there was a lot of stress, it feels like, a lot of pressure in that environment. And it looks a little bit like on the player camps, like you're enjoying the game a little bit more and having a little bit more fun. Is that correct to say, or how?
Yeah, I mean, for sure there is less pressure right now, I would say, because we don't really have top players, I would say. Like, nothing against my teammates, but you cannot compare them yet to the old roster. So I feel like right now we are just having fun, and it's easier for me to open. We can talk in Polish, we can discuss in Polish,
right?
Yes.
Some of the stuff, of course. But yeah, it's just easier when we need to speak Polish in the game. I feel like we are clicking instantly, so yeah, it's just easier.
You're obviously a figure of experience in that team, you as well. What did you think of this core of 9 prior to playing with them? Because they obviously looked like they had something to offer, and they were blocking a little bit at times. We talked map pools and whatever, but I want to focus more on the experience. What did you think of the roster, and were you surprised when they joined and you became teammates?
Yeah, I was a little bit afraid at the start. I will not lie, but it was super hard for me to explain to them what I will do in the team, because I changed not only outside of the game but also inside the game, and they are looking at me at someone who is sometimes explaining the game for them. They are also I don't know how to even say it.
Say it in Polish, it's fine.
Oh, no.
Glaive will translate.
Yeah. But they are respecting me a lot.
So you're a mentor for them?
Yeah.
Do you feel like a mentor for them?
Not really, but I'm trying my best to help them.
They have been looking up to you for some years.
And of course, in these big matches, after this big game, I said some words, maybe not the best one, but I was always I said it to them, I'm always trying to help them. I'm not saying anything bad to sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's rough, but I'm always trying to help them. I'm not the best in speaking, speaking-wise to the team, but I'm always trying to help them.
So what Paul is trying to do, after the big game, he's really straightforward.
Okay.
He's not of course he has some thoughts and he wants to get them out of his head. And he's saying that to the team, and he's talking with performance coach, and then he's getting to say it to the team. And I think that's really important, because it's important that the players is able to speak loudly in the room with their teammates and say what is on their mind, so they don't build off all of these kind of frustrations, right? And this is what Paul did after the big game.
All right.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See one more time. Yeah. But I think that's very important in a team to function properly. You can't hold stuff in and push it under the rug, so to speak. And you guys have known each other for such a long time from the academy days. Does that make it so much easier to do that sort of a thing and just be able to communicate in the open?
Definitely. I think we have a group of people, and the chemistry in the team, I think it's very rare that we have basically 5 individuals that are able to just speak up, speak their mind, and no one will actually get offended about it. We know that we're all there just to learn and improve, and any feedback from any player or staff member that there is, we're always taking it in and just trying to improve from it.
Yeah, there's no egos. Everyone is on the same level in the team. Obviously, always Shuhe, Kamil, and the coach Dennis almost have the high regard, obviously, since they're the coach and the captain. But I mean, at the end of the day, everyone tries to be pretty balanced, and we make sure to listen to each other. And yes, as Glaive said, to share your mind and not keep anything in.
Right.
So yeah, I think we have a very healthy environment.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have a balance, I would say, within the profiles of your team in terms of experience as well. There's a good side to it. A negative side could be you looking out and you say, hey, who's the figure that's going to teach them, if I can use that word carefully, who's going to bring them? So how do you, as a team, as a group of people who are again in the same balance, how do you elevate as a team? Where do you go look for the new experience and new ideas and new protocols, whatever it is? It must come from within, right? You don't have someone that can tell you, hey guys, listen, this is how we win. This is how I used to do it. You have to kind of come up with it together.
Yeah, I think it's obviously we have balance, but I think that we also have very vocal players. I think especially me and Kamil, especially obviously in the server as well, giving direction to players or saying what to do sometimes, but also outside the server, if it's about teaching some grenades or working hard, I think everyone on the team is understanding that they have to improve in a way and they have to find their own stuff. But I mean, sometimes you need to give direction, as you say, it's very important. And I think as much as there is balance, for example, I think I'm very vocal in the team. In a way, I'm a player like Dicha that he just likes to get what I have off my mind. I don't like to keep it in. And maybe I could be very strict. I could be direct, but I learned over years also how to use my words. I think that's very important. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very important to have a direction to improve. Yeah,
also because since we don't have basically a mentor in the team, like someone that is experienced, that is able to bring in this characteristics of a mentor, like we have to work on ourselves and kind of create an environment for ourselves, and like in a way, I don't know maybe if that's the right word, but like create a meta for ourselves that we are able to deal with it without someone having to come in and actually show from their experience. So we are going through all of this together, basically.
I think you guys also have been playing really well for a while now, had good results too, but it's about taking that last step. Now you're in the semi, so to win that semi-final game and actually make the grand final of a big event like IEM Katowice. So what do you think is sort of missing, or what is it that you need to get that last 5% maybe to be able to make that step?
I think stability, like consistency in a way, stability. I think the more deep runs you make, the more chances you have to win trophies. Of course, we want to go to playoffs every event we go to. I think that's our first goal as a team, and I mean with experience against the best teams, the most experienced players, I feel like that's when we will take the step forward. Actually, I think it's nothing necessarily about like in-game stuff. It's more, I mean, we need experience. We're a young team. I think we handle pressure really well as a team anyway, but I mean obviously it's very different when you have people who played like 10 times more playoffs than you, very close series than you. So yeah, I think mainly it's outside the server, like stability and consistency, I would say.
I like that you're talking about this, sometimes the last 5% and people have more experience, because the game that we witnessed in Abu Dhabi, I think is quite telling, right? It's a super close game versus Faze. And then if you really look under the microscope, the last rounds, yeah, there's a little bit of nerves, right? There's a spray that goes this way, a peak that goes this way. Do you feel as a team that, obviously it's a disheartening loss, it's a hard loss, but do you feel as a team that you're more prepared each time you're going to be put in that situation? You feel like you learn from these moments, as heartbreaking as they can be?
Yeah, for us, it's the more the better. Like Xerxes said, basically, each opportunity we get to play at a stage like this, we need to just use the experience from it and move on to the next one and even do better. And basically, the more the better.
I mean, we have someone at the table who's got some experience with stage.
Well, here's the thing. I wanted to ask Glaive, of course, everyone knows all your achievements and stuff, but actually, it's been a little while since you played, in that arena and in front of that crowd. So are you feeling a little bit nervous too?
Not yet, I would say, but I could be when we go to the stage, of course. I mean, I think it's not that bad to just feel like a bit of nervousness. I think it's pretty normal. Hopefully you're not like really just like shaking when you're going in and can't hit shots and stuff like this. But I mean, the first few rounds, it can be a little bit nervousness. Of course, there will be a lot of fans. For us, a lot of Polish fans. So I think we're all going to be a little bit nervous, but I think mainly it's like 2 rounds maybe, and then you get over it, I would say. So it will calm you down slowly.
I also have to ask you, are you going to channel maybe your inner Apex for the playoffs? Because I mean, it started with Astralis, right? And now it's going to be Falcons in the quarterfinals, so more X's lining up for you?
Maybe, I will see. I'm not going to promise anything. I mean, I had some pretty good games, and yesterday was not that good, so I'm just going to focus on the team and try to focus on myself, and we'll see what it brings. I can't promise anything. Sorry.
How's it going to feel for you in this game? You obviously have a history with most of the players that are going to be against you. How does that feel to imagine that matchup coming up?
I mean, first of all, every single matchup we played was almost personal for me. So it was either ex-teammate or someone else who is coach now, for example. He was also my teammate. I mean, Taz. And there was also like Big. I played them in Sprout for like 2 years or something. So I knew all of these guys. And right now it's Falcons. I was joking a bit on Twitter that they are snakes. No, I mean, I love all of them, but Katowice is special for me because it's like the only event in Poland, and it's also amazing event, I would say. There is a lot of people and they are cheering for everyone, not only for like the Polish team or the team that they will choose, but they are cheering for everyone. And it will be super special for me to play here.
Kamil, how about you? It's your first time in Katowice already, the playoffs.
Well, I mean, actually, it's my second time. Last year I was here, but not as a player. I was just casually watching,
Analyzing.
Yeah, basically getting ready for Spodek this time. But it feels amazing. Just like Deha said, basically being in your home country, being able to play in such a legendary event, basically having like one of the oldest trophies in front of you. So it definitely means a lot. And like he said, every game is basically very emotional, very personal as well. You just want to do as good as you can.
Nice. We touched on the idea of like mentor and experience on the stage, and I wanted to ask you, from my perspective, you were in an interesting and almost ambiguous position within your team, because you are obviously a profile with a tremendous amount of experience, but you're on your way back up. You had the rough times, as you mentioned. You don't really know the guys that well quite yet. So how do you kind of position yourself mentally when you think about it? Like, do you already see yourself as, hey, listen guys, I'm the captain, or it's a give and take? Like, how would you describe your position within ENCE already now?
I think I will split it between me and Kupin, I would say.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say like I'm the boss, listen to me only, but I think I will split it between me and him. But of course I want to be there for the guys. I will give some pep talk and try to tell them some stuff, just make them as relaxed as possible before going to stage and before playing. And I think Kupin will do some of the same, and we also have our performance coach with us, which will help with this as well. So I think we'll be fine.
And what about the human side of it? The reason I ask is, in my own experience, I have been sometimes in teams where everybody else was speaking a different language. It can be complicated at times. So how do you experience that, the integration beyond just the server? Like, is it challenging? Is it easier than you expected?
I mean, outside the server, I think it's pretty easy, I would say, because we have Coop and he's saying English all the time when people are starting to speak Polish, right? And but inside the server, I think can be a little more difficult, because I have like a hard time giving up control. So even when I'm dead and they start to speak Polish, I'm still speaking English to them. And I think it can be a bit confusing. So sometimes I feel like with this team, I need to give a bit of my control and let it loose, and just let the players decide the decisions themselves instead of me trying to tell them what to do.
How does that feel?
It doesn't feel good.
Doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't feel good, because sometimes I feel like I have the better understanding, but I also see that in practice sometimes, that even though I think something but I don't say it, it still works out really good for them when they're talking Polish. So for me, it's just about letting loose and let them do their job.
Do you think that has maybe helped a little bit your individual level, that you just leave some of that responsibility to the players and you can focus more on your own game a little bit?
I think I have been having a hard time doing it yet, so but maybe it will happen in the future. It's something that me and Kuben talked about a bit, that I can be better at, like, because we have so strong individual players when they are hitting shots, and we need to let them play a bit, and not only me trying to say what they need to do, right? And maybe it will help me individually to just give up the control and think about next round maybe instead of thinking about the current.
I wanted to ask a little bit about, CS2 has been out now, 3, 4, 5 months. How are you feeling about MR12 now that you have plenty of games on it? Do you think it's too short, or do you think it's fine, it's just enough rounds?
Actually, I mentioned to you the other day, I mean, we talked about there are scenarios where it's last round, but I don't even realize it, it just went so fast, and I'm like, oh, we won? Wait, I need to make sure. Even it happened against them, it was last round, and I'm like, I was screaming, and I'm about to put my headset on, I'm like, I need to check if everyone else is putting their headset on, because that's the last round. So it does catch me off guard still. Probably still not used to it because it's been a short time, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I think it's cool, to be honest. I think it's refreshing not to play such long games sometimes. I think for me the biggest change was practice. I feel like you can get much more quality practice now, since you have 15 minutes break between every practice basically you play. You can talk about stuff, or you can just relax. And I think in CSGO you would just play 3 practice, one after another, and that's why a lot of teams were also late. So yeah, I think it's a very healthy change for practice, and I feel like also for casual viewers who want to watch the game, sometimes people don't have 3 hours to commit to a BO3, where now it can take 2 hours, for example. And I think that's just much better for the general approach to the game, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the change that we could implement is probably removing the 1400 loss bonus. I think this would help a lot because I think it's like too small of a bonus. Or maybe change the economy system a little bit so we don't have like too many like full eco rounds, but or maybe not these rounds where you have 14 runs that you can't even like buy to 0 because then you're not gonna have a good first full buy round, right? So I like that this like when you get the bomb plan on T side and you have a fair chance of winning the second round, even sometimes you have a bigger chance. But I think removing the 1400 loss bonus could be really, really good.
Has it in any way influenced the way you sort of approach creating game plans, or how do you approach the game knowing there's probably less gun rounds to work with, so you could have things a little bit more set, not necessarily tactics out of spawn, but you use a smoke combination in the first gun round and you can use it in the third one as well to do a fake, and you can maybe create a whole half around like 2 things and just masking them differently.
I think a lot of teams are doing that now. I think a lot of teams are writing down like 2 or 3 gun rounds, like with guns, and they're just doing those. And maybe if the in-game leader feels like, okay, this is the time for something else, then we'll do something else, right? We have a lot of tactics. Every team has that, and but I think like pointing out some key tactics could be pretty important, like, or at least talking about how you want to approach the game.
I mean, less rounds mean obviously more intensity in the rounds, and from the outside, something that we really appreciate now is that a clutch can change a game, like literally change a game at some critical moment in the half. From the inside, from within, does it feel like that, or did you just get used to it now and it's the new normal? And it's like the way you handle either winning an incredible clutch or losing a stupid ass 5v2 for ourselves. It will feel like it's more intense from the outside. I just wonder from within if for you guys it's now normal or if there's a little bit of that.
I think it's a lot harder to maybe reset after losing a clutch because it just means a lot more,
right?
Like you said. Yeah, that's for the clutch. But actually going back to the question before, I mean, in terms of like game plan and calling, because there's less rounds now, from an IGL perspective, like back in CSGO, you would use rounds to set up into the future rounds. And now it's a lot more difficult to do. Like you need to squeeze in a lot more into one round to set up a round in the future. And it does take a lot off you, and maybe it strengthens your ideas in the game. You're limited a little bit more as to what you can call or how you can set up a round to make them look even more perfect. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Okay. So there's more mind game. Like when you go into a game against another leader, do you feel like you have a higher level of mind game going into it, trying to trick him? That's more present now than it was before?
Yeah, definitely. Because like I said, you just need to, now to set up a round, I think you need to squeeze in a lot more into the round. You need to take out a lot more from the round. So like these small things as utility or damage or the money that you save, things like this just matter a lot more. And those are the rounds that just cause you to, those are the rounds that basically have the most impact later on to the game.
All right.
I was wondering about, even in this tournament, we've had a couple of teams, even from the play-in, not make it out, that potentially people saw as playoff teams, the likes of Astralis, Virtus Pro as well, one of the big names. Then in groups, Vitality gets knocked out, Navi in their final game. What do you think the reason for some of those things is? Some people were saying online that a lot of these teams are getting exposed, right? That they weren't that. Do you think like that's the case, or maybe something else? What are your thoughts?
I don't think so. It's at all about getting exposed. I think still like Vitality is still the best team in the world, in my opinion at least. I think they're extremely solid. They have great 5 players. Like you don't have a weakness there, I feel like. So I think it's, the most important thing is definitely CS2. It's a new game. Came back from player break. People cooked some stuff in player break. People had a lot of time to practice before coming into Katowice. And yeah, I think it's not about teams getting exposed. I think we will still see the top stay the same kind of, but yeah, obviously there is a lot of change happening in CS2 now. Today we just pushed a update that changed completely how you play the game, basically in terms of individual. So yeah, I think we will see some map changes and stuff. And I think it's all about who adapts the best. I don't think it's about who is better or worse. But yeah, I think that people like to overreact sometimes. Also with the Zayu thing, for example, like people are saying like Zhao is washed or something after Sydney, and I'm still like, I mean, this guy is still the best player in the world. Like, what is people talking about, you know? And
One tournament.
yeah, exactly. So I think people like to overreact a bit about this stuff. I think it's not the end of the world, even though it's Katowice, everyone wants to play there. I think Vitality can just be like, okay, I mean, this happens, start of the season, and they need to move on, and I think they will do that. So, yeah.
Or do you think a part of it is maybe some of these teams are still playing more CSGO than CS2, right? In terms of style, that they haven't like adapted or innovated enough?
Definitely. I think also some I mean, not specifically for some people, but I'm sure that some teams, some players have a more rough time accepting CS2, especially like older players that have a lot more experience in CSGO. I mean, yeah, obviously, like people who write tweets about it, I mean, I understand the reason, but I think that also as professionals, you need to move forward, you need to focus on CS2, you need to, as I said, you need to adapt. I mean, everyone plays the same game. I understand the game is not perfect, but I mean, at the same time, you also have to trust that it will work at the end, and I'm sure it will. So I think it's all about mindset, to be honest, how you approach it.
I'll pick up on that as well, because Lucas, you used to win a few years back, right? You had moments where you were defining how Counter-Strike was supposed to be played. You had a team that people were looking up to and trying to figure out, okay, what is it that they're doing? How can we do it better? Is it then harder to realize that there are ways that used to make you win that don't anymore, and you have to like give up some of the certainties that you had, some of the principles that you had, and you're thinking, what the hell, like we used to win like that? So first of all, is it that different now, and has it been hard to give up on some of the tools that you thought were like unbeatable at the time?
I mean, I think some of it has been hard, like realizing that you have to change kind of play style. It took some time, but I think it's also like really good for me to have a coach like Kuben that sees the game in a different way and is helping with that, and also me trying to work in a different way myself to understand the game better. So I feel like it's pretty good, to be honest. Okay. It's nice with the change, and I like that the meta is changing so much all the time, and that you need to kind of do hard work to get there.
What would you say is the biggest difference in your leadership now, if you were to look back at 2018, 2019, Glaive, and who you are and who you have to behave now? What do you say the big difference is?
The biggest difference is that I'm working much harder now. I'm working much more, I would say. I mean, back then I didn't really, I just played practice, and of course I thought about some ideas and I brought them to the practice and to the theory. We had like 1 hour theory, and now we always have like 2-3 hours of theory, like something crazy, right? And back then just thinking about some things, showing them, but now I'm really like trying to understand the game, looking at all the teams, looking at a lot of YouTube videos, all this kind of stuff, to be in the meta all the time.
Yeah, okay. And then you have across the table a new leader from the new generation, right? Yes. Is there also a learning process for you to look at these younger teams, younger leaders, and like things they do that you didn't, or like as an inspiration in some way?
Of course, they are young. They probably use even more hours than me, I would say. So of course I have to kind of look at them and see what they're doing right, and try to copy some of it, or even just to understand it and maybe how to counter it at least. So I'm trying to do that my best, but you know, there's a lot of top teams and it's hard to look at everyone, but right. I mean, after this game yesterday, I'll start to look at MOUZ more, for sure.
Don't worry, we still also look at the older ones as well.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
How has it been for you, Diha, with the switch to CS2? You've been enjoying it or just hoping for better days?
I mean, the start was rough, but I have this rule that you need to be open-minded in CS2, because it wasn't great from the start, I would say. I was really used to CSGO, like it was different game, but right now you need to switch your mental, to be honest. Like you need to be open-minded for everything. You cannot like tilt about the game. You need to give it the time. If you will tilt about the game, if you will be hard on yourself, then it will get into your mind and then it's over. So I would say CSGO was a little bit better, but I'm still giving time to CS2. And right now I enjoy it because I played much more than I was playing from the start, but it's fine, I would say.
I think as we're moving into the playoffs now, arena games, right, we talk about how it's a different environment to play in, obviously, and some in-game leaders that we talk to, you know, say it impacts their calling too, right? There's more momentum-based calls, perhaps. Do you share this opinion as well, or do you stick to, you know, I don't take into account the crowd or anything, I just call what I think it's best, what's going on the server?
Well, I haven't had a lot of those events where I got to play in front of the crowd. But those that I could play, I mean, for me, it was a matter of balancing it, using that momentum from the crowd and also the atmosphere. It's the adrenaline, definitely. It plays a huge role in individuals in such a stage. But it's about like balancing that and also the plan A that you had, that you practice as a team, that you what is good for your team, why you are there in that stage. So you need to kind of play the two scenarios correctly and just join them up together.
How far do you think your best playstyle, whatever fits MOUZ the best, how far do you think it is from the best main stage playstyle? Do you think you can use whatever you have already on the stage, or you make some of these tweaks because you say you have to still stay true to yourself? Do you still feel like a certain degree of adjustments you make when you go up on the stage in these experiences?
There's always adjustments being made, no matter what game, no matter how much practice we had. We're always adjusting. Like I said, that's why we are very open-minded and we are able to adapt real quick as well. That's also a very good characteristic of us. But going onto a stage like that, there's a fine line. It's a gray area where you need to make sure your teammates are still comfortable on the server. So you don't want to change too much up. But at the same time, you know you're going to come up on a stage and you need to change something to adapt to the other team. You know the other team maybe has more experience or something. They will maybe run you down, play a lot more aggressive or whatever. So you need to find that fine line that doesn't cross both boundaries, and then you're good.
I don't think we need to ask Glaive anything about this. We just need to remember the Atlanta major grand final and calling a Tech 9 outside rush.
but it's a funny thing because with these less rounds you have now, it's also more risky for going for these calls as the in-game leader, right? You don't want to call these A rushes and B rushes too much like you did in CSGO and try to like catch the opponents off guard, because if it doesn't happen, you will look kind of stupid and the coach will say after, maybe we shouldn't play like this, right? Because we don't have a lot of round two.
Yeah, but if it works, he'll say, great call.
Yeah.
Amazing read.
Yes.
I mean, if I can touch on also this as a player, I think that I think obviously as IGL, so you guys have like some changes you guys do, obviously momentum based, but I think it also applies to players. Like I would say that experienced players tend to play more aggressive on stages. I think it's because they know they can abuse that other people maybe are a little more nervous. I think that I got a little bit gifted that I don't really care in a way. Like, of course you feel nerves. Of course, as Glaive said as well, like always you feel some butterflies the first couple of rounds, but I think I'm pretty good at just being like, okay, I just have to play my game again. And I think actually stage for me makes me more aggressive, like makes me feel the crowd more, makes me feel the moment. I know even though the other team is experienced, if I show them that as a young kid, like I'm not scared, then maybe it will make them question some stuff, you know? So I think you can use that in many ways, like the momentum and also the mind games, also as players. So, I mean, I think everyone, like all the players in this table know that in these moments you can definitely, as a player, also change some stuff. You know, it doesn't have to be as an IGL necessarily with a call. So I think you can always surprise the opponent in such games, especially.
Is that something you discuss with your leader then? Like some of these moves you're gonna do is just on the moment, and you give yourself that freedom.
I think it's both. I think.
What's happening here, like?
So I think so Kamil thankfully has a lot of trust in me, which is really nice to know. Like I feel very comfortable and confident going into games when I know this guy will just, okay, Dor, you can do it, you know, and like I have respect for him that when he says no, there's a really good reason why. So yeah, I think we have a really good balance between us. Some stuff, sometimes before in prep, I'll be like, okay, I can really abuse this. I'm just going to go for it, you know, and he will give me the green light. Or sometimes in the game, I'll be like, Kamil, you know, like, just let me loose, you know, let me go, let me run, you know, and then I get a 3K, he's happy, I'm happy, and we continue playing as a team after, of course. So I think it's all about balance. I think that something that took me time to understand. I think when I was younger, especially when I joined main team with Dexter, I really want to play aggressive all the time. So I think it was a good change I had to go through with him and Cyclone, that, okay, you also need to play some good rounds sometimes, maybe some balance. And I think that we have a really good balance between us now. Sometimes I'm crazy, sometimes he's crazy. And I just go like, maybe the team is not sure what he's doing. I'm like, guys, it's the captain. Let's follow him, you know, let's go. And yeah, I think that, we just have to find a balance for that.
I think it's also about like the players understanding that they need to change some stuff themselves. The in-game leaders and the coach cannot sit there and watch every player, oh, you did this a lot of times, you need to change this, but the player needs to realize themselves, okay, we're doing this a lot on either the CT side or T side. They will know, so we need to change some stuff for the next game. And these small tweaks is also what makes it much harder for the opponent.
Nice.
Yeah, I think now talking about what you guys have in front of you,
Bracket.
right? The game against Falcons. Just talk us a little bit through, like, how are you feeling about the matchup?
I mean, I think they are pretty set, I would say, because they have the same core and the same in-game leader as they had before. They brought in 2 new players, and of course it takes some time, and the new coach as well. But I feel like they are a pretty set team, and they have a pretty good playbook, I would say. So they have a lot of to fall back on, and but I think that we have like the more young players, and I think we're able to maybe surprise them a bit with some of the plays that we can do. And we also have some really good shooters, like that is shooting hard. So I think that I think the matchup is pretty good, but I think it's also going to be like a spicy match, I would say, because of Pavel and me and the old lineup and
the crowd.
And the crowd, yeah. So, but I think what is the most important is that we're going to enjoy it, because it could be like, it could actually be the last time playing in Spodek for some of us, right? So we never know. So we have to kind of enjoy it and just do our best, and let's see what it gives us.
We always love a little bit of drama in Counter-Strike, right? So we will obviously
we'll tap into that.
We tap into the drama, but for you, is there anything we can harp on the Glaive v Snappy? Is there something to be done here? Any spies, or we're just making shit up at this point?
I mean, I think me and Snappy are too good friends to actually do a rivalry between me and him. But I mean, he's a great in-game leader, and he's from Denmark, so of course I want to beat him. And if I lose to him, I will be very mad. So no, of course I will do my best. I have played in a team with him before also, and he's a great in-game leader, but I think I'm better.
Oh, there we go.
Did you ever feel a little bit pissed off when people have in the last year or two been talking about, oh yeah, now Kerrigan has cleared Glaive, you know, as the great, and then even Snappy gets into the conversation because of last year, and you're just sitting there being like, guys, I won 4 you know, like we were the most dominant team probably ever in CSGO.
No, I didn't really get mad, because I think, to be honest, I think a lot of the things that people were saying were right. Like, I didn't play the best, and I didn't call the best for the last few years, and maybe I didn't have like the best conditions as well. And we're working in different kind of things in ENCE that we did in Australis in a different way, I would say, both like inside, but also especially outside the game. So I think it was fine that people were saying this. Kind of made me realize that I need to do something different, and now we're doing it.
Dick, I want to ask you as well about, this matchup against Falcons. You already touched on your old teammates and all of that, but yeah. But, obviously you played in big games, bigger arenas before, playoff games, grand final games and whatnot. This one is going to be different though, because of also it being in Poland. So have you thought about, how are you going to sort of not let the emotions take over your game and still play your own game, or does that just come naturally to you?
I think I just handle it like really good, because it's Poland. Also, it will help, and I think there is much more pressure on them than on us, because they will try to not lose to Polish team. It's not only about me, but they will try to not lose to Polish team, and I think I have some tricks. Maybe inside, maybe outside of the server, and I will use them. It's gonna be
Twitter posts.
It's gonna be Martin, Snappy, and Pius versus me. I can handle it.
All right, and for you guys, straight into the semis, you're gonna have to wait for your opponent, which will be the winner of Faze versus G2. So the first, I wanted to ask you about this whole thing, going straight into the semis or having one extra game in the arena. Where do you stand on all this? What's your preference, so to speak?
There is a lot of opinions about it. Some may prefer to play from the quarterfinals because it gives you a warm-up game. You're used to the stage. Some say that now you're in semis, you are a lot closer to the final, to the trophy. So that gives also a motivational boost. I think it's our first time basically in a situation like this. So we're yet to know which one is better for us. Definitely it's better, or at least it feels better to be in the semifinals than quarterfinals. But the way we will handle it, I don't know yet. We will see on the stage how we deal with it. Hopefully it's going to be good.
And some thoughts on the G2 Faze matchup. Feels like both teams, G2 probably more so, struggling a little bit in CS2, So what are your thoughts on that game?
I mean, I think it will be very interesting. I think the matchups are really good. Obviously, ENCE and Falcons, as you said, it will be very spicy. It will be like a very close, good brawl, like fight. And G2 Faze game of experience, I feel like, more so. And yeah, I mean, I think that they are both great teams. They have maybe very high ceilings, very low floors, kind of. And I mean, I think it will be very interesting. I would like to really play both. Like, if I could choose, of course. I don't really have a favorite. Of course, I want to play against David, of course, Frozen, and beat him. I think it's something that all of us want in the team. You know, it's not something personal, but obviously, as an ex-teammate, you want to beat him. So
well, he also left you guys. He thought he's better over there, so you want to show him that he was wrong.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
left for the worst team.
Of course. I will always wish him luck, not against us. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's a very good matchup. There's amazing players there. Monesi have been absolutely incredible over the last 2 years, and especially last year. And I mean, yeah, it's nice to see Nico back, to form last 2 games. I think he was destroying the teams. And yeah, I mean, I think there is a really good matchup to be had. I think also Faze is slowly building what they had in a way with Frozen. So yeah, I think it'll be a very interesting matchup. I'm really looking forward to play them in the semis. And to touch on what Kamil said, yeah, I mean, I think we are not sure as a team how we would end it as 5, but I'm sure that we will find answers because we are always there for each other. And I'm sure that if I'm not feeling well, then somebody else will step up for me. And I think that's the best feeling you can have coming into a intensity match, call it.
Yeah. Right, the most important question. No one is sick. No one has
Everybody
a fever. Yeah, everyone's been drinking their vitamins, right? Staying inside.
Just wait until game day.
Yeah, everyone is. No, it's all good. We're doing our routines, going to the gym as well. That's important, I feel like, for your health, mental health, physical health. And yeah, I mean, vitamins, of course. We have our sports psychologist. It's you gotta take it. So yeah, I mean, I think that we're doing all the right things. And also, as Glaive said, it's all about enjoying the moment. I feel like you don't know. Obviously, we're a young team, all of us, but you don't know when is the next time we get such an opportunity. So I feel like we all know, all 6 of us in the team, that we have to take it with our hands and take this opportunity to the next level and hopefully win the tournament as well.
So how do you think the game against Falcons is going to go?
I mean, it's going to be a tough match, but I think with some luck, and if we play like we didn't do against MOUZ, then there's a chance we're going to win and we're going to the semifinals. So we keep believing and we trust each other and we'll do our best, and I think it can take us there.
And Zershin, you gave us a really good answer, who you want to play, but who do you think you're going to be playing in that semifinal?
Well, I think that for me it's quite favorites Faze actually. I mean, obviously they have not had the best form too, but I still think that they're better prepared for this game. Still, Nexa is a new player for G2, also because before he joined they were also not in the best shape. So different from Faze, when Frozen joined, Faze basically won 3 or 4 tournaments in a row, so they are still flying high, I feel like. So yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna face Faze in the semis, and yeah, I'm prepared for both, and I'm just excited for the matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to the Player Podcast right before the playoffs of IEM Katowice. Congratulations, everyone, for making it. I guess let's start with this. You guys just played each other yesterday. What the hell happened? What happened? That's more a question for this side of the table.
I mean, I think, in my opinion, classic Faze. I don't know. We played a good first map, and then it's not having that extra 5-10% of giving everything we have. And something we are trying to fix for the past 2 years.
Sure.
But obviously Spirit played better than us, better the team. They had a good game plan. Donk had a great second game as well, second map. So I think overall they played just better than us. There's not much to do, and I think they're playing great so far. They have a lot of momentum. So yeah, I'm just looking forward. I'm happy we made the playoff. That's always the first step to get to the trophy, and then there's a lot of other steps to be taken. So yeah, I mean, a little bit shaky as always. I think there's nothing new from our side, but the most important thing, we made it.
Like you said, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's where we need to be.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to pick on you, but when you say classic Faze, let's talk about this for a second. What does that mean, and how do you stop it? Because when I watch you guys play, you can be so good on one hand, and then on the other hand, just do either tilt and just do these force buy rushes and just suicide, or you'll just pull a knife out and start running around reading a situation that's not right.
I think there's different scenarios. I think first of all, I think the intensity we have in our team when the clutches and the nail biting elimination games. I know for a fact I have a hard time being 100% deflective of emotions when I'm not in an elimination game, because in some way I know it's not life and death, and it's very hard to constantly be at 100%. And I know coming into a tournament, it's not how you start, it's how you end. So you have to kind of ramp up, and I really tried to do in the huddle yesterday. It's like, guys, we need. All I want to do is energy and passion and good initiative, and obviously there was, but it kind of like fell flat. And I think just like some of our players just play better on stage as well, and it's very hard to replicate that. And I've been in the game for 20 years. There are games where the crowd will help you, the pressure will help you. And if you enjoy the pressure and you enjoy that moment more than shy away from it, that's where you have the best performance. And I think we've been pretty good at that. And I think in group stage, to the environment, we don't get that extra clutch factor. And it's very hard to figure out what exactly to do, what to say, how to make a game plan. So yeah, I think middle of the game on Nuke, I kind of could feel that we were not there, and then it's hard to recover, and then it looks very strange. Also, when we're watching the demo, so it's very hard to kind of justify that.
Have you thought about setting up a speaker and just popping like fake crowd noise at the desk?
I mean, it's very. I've tried to figure out and read about it, study about it, but it's like it's very hard to replicate one-to-one the same environment.
Impossible.
And I don't know yet why we're doing it, why we're performing. It's a hard question to answer within the team, but I also think David now realized when we played, for example, in World Finals, the second we hit OT, it's like we're more chaotic and more stressed before OT, but the second OT hits, everything becomes calm. And I don't know what happens, or it's just like people like, oh, not here again. And then like we need to step up, you know? Like, I don't know exactly what it is, but there is some kind of...
Just enter a flow state or something at some point in the game. You're just like, oh, I'm just like one with the game.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of maps and rounds to get into that flow state. But I mean, Spirit played great, right?
Yeah.
Who said they will not be able to beat us like that on stage? It's not like something that, I think more just an recurring issue we have had in the past, where we can play good the whole tournament and then we drop a game where we're not out, but we're not fully in to playoff. But yeah.
If you ever figure it out, you might not lose ever again. So
yeah.
just chill.
Speaking of Spirit and speaking of stage, when you guys go up there, do you think the crowd's going to be more like on your side or against you guys, or how do you feel like the crowd's going to play out? Do you think you're like going to get propped up, or?
Well, it's definitely based on who you are facing, because if we will go against ENCE,
yeah, you ain't getting that crowd.
we will never be cheered by the crowd, because I faced Furia in Rio, and I believe it's going to be the same. When you're winning the round, it's completely silent. When you're losing a round, it's so loud, and the greatest feeling is to make them silent. As you know.
So it doesn't affect you guys, just like, oh man, if they're silent, like I can't wait to like win this round and then hear them like go completely silent. Just like the power that you have to silence an entire crowd must feel good.
I hope we have those powers, because I mean we have two players who are new to stage, and I have no idea how are they gonna play and perform. But talking about myself and Chopper, I think we're kind of used to it, because even we played last time in front of crowd was a long time ago. It was Rio. Oh,
I think that was the last stage match, or the crowd match. Yeah.
But I think it's kind of the same.
What are your thoughts heading into playing in front of a crowd on a stage? Like, what are you like mentally trying to prepare yourself a little bit?
I don't think anything will gonna change for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm just very calm all the time. So I don't care about the crowd is going to cheer against us or anything like that. I think it's only me, my teammates, game plan, and the game. So that's it.
Sure. Well, the only questions that I've gotten for like the past 3 months since Shiro joined your roster, or however long it's been, whatever it is, has been how good is Spirit going to be? Like how much is this going to improve them? So when you guys came into this event, did you expect to have this level of success? Did you expect to be pretty much dominant into the semifinals? Could you feel it in practice? Were you just like, oh shit, we just got really good?
No, we've been cheating in practice. And we had very little going into the tournament because some of us were playing at Blast, some of us had visa issues, and we have no practice as a team before the tournament, like 10 days. And the only way to have a good tournament is to have a good start, and we fulfilled it.
Yeah. I mean, that's always funny because like it always feels like you always hear about teams coming into events where like we've been killing it in practice, it's been going great, and then they just get smashed in the event.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like yeah. Is there something where when practice is going really good leading into an event, are you guys like, oh god, like so this is bad? Like
I think after we came home from break, like before Blast, I'm like, we're doing good in practice. First game against Gamer Legion, smack 2-0. I was like, I hate. I think my first rank. I hate when you're doing really good in practice, everything is working, and then I think it's just a thing of a state where you feel like maybe a tiny overconfident. Because I like to be scared before a game. I like to be having respect towards opponents and like having that feeling like they're playing good. We need to do this. And sometimes when doing really good in practice, you have like this idea of like you're doing really good, but how good are you actually doing in the moment of where you have to adapt and you have to be in the right mindset. And I think more so it's like doing a tournament where you have to shake a game, where you feel like you have to be more aware and more careful and more like scared in some sense, that you use it to a positive way, that you're not guaranteed going to playoff. Like when you have a good boot camp before Rio, I think I never had a good boot camp before Rio. And we were out after 36 hours. It was like, I don't know how we ended there. We didn't lose a single vertical practice, 20 games in a row, be the best team in vertical, we go B&E, we lose vertical. It's like, what do you do, you know? And I think it's just always a balance between having a hard practice, having good practice, and just like having the right trajectory and not just like feeling overconfident. I think that's the most dangerous part coming into a tournament where you feel like we're winning this event. But it's also have a backside.
It's like your weaknesses don't get exposed in practice, and then they get put center stage at the event.
Yeah, the like first round, like this never happened in practice. You know?
What's it like been since Shiro joined the team? What's he kind of brought to the team outside of like obviously being an incredible AWPer, an incredible weapon to have inside the game? Like outside the game with his experience from Cloud9, what's he brought to the squad? Is he a fun personality? Does he joke?
Yeah, he's a great personality to have, and it's like a mix of him being impactful both outside and inside of the server. If we can mention the inside of the server, he is an experienced AWPer who has been playing in high tier tournaments, who has been winning tournaments, who is among the best AWPers in the game. Yeah, and he's bringing a lot of ideas, a lot of mid-round scenarios, and he's winning a lot of clutches. He's well known for his clutch ability. And outside of the game, he is a great guy. He's funny to have with. He's good to have a coffee with, to discuss an anime.
Sure.
And and he's great. He's good.
Speaking of out of the server stuff, how do you have like all of you guys together hanging out, like if you have downtime, or is it just like two people and then these three, or how does that dynamic work with everyone? Is everyone just like a big happy family, or is it just like you have your own like, oh, I'm friends with this guy?
Well, it's pretty much different because after one game, somebody could be more tired, and he'll go into his room and take a rest. Somebody might be kinda depressed after winning a game but playing poorly and going straight into aimbots or playing Faze, and somebody who can be just chilling in the practice, playing deathmatch, watching replays or whatever. But you know, at one day you can go like as 5 as everyone. Another day you can split.
I gotta ask, and I know you guys are probably sick of getting donk questions, but when you guys are like coming up with like how you want to game plan and how you want to play against teams and coming up with tactics, like are you constructing them around donk, or is he just like someone who just excels in his role? Like is it kind of like donk's amazing doing this, so let's build a tactic around it, or is it here's the tactic and he's just going to go kill things?
No, I think it has never been resolving around Donk and his ability to frag or something or entry or whatever. It's like only coming from the what you see in the demos of enemy.
Okay, cool. Have you guys had a chance to play the new update that just dropped last night?
Oh yeah.
You liking it?
It's nice. It's very sharp. Feels much better. I think the game is more responsive at the moment.
Okay.
Didn't really get to try the fully Peeker's advantage change.
Sure.
But it definitely feels a little bit better, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's gonna feel a lot better online with the 5 ping.
Yeah, that always helps.
Have you tried to change interp?
Interp? Nah, I don't change that. I don't play with these things.
Oh, he just took a mental note about you.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Do you guys do that? Like, I'll watch like Floppy and Elige. They're just like tweaking everything you can tweak on a computer, like in Windows, in the BIOS, in the game, in the console.
I can say that Donk doesn't know anything about Windows or game or anything. He just runs in place. So I think if you just care a lot about like PC or all of this stuff, it's like showing your insecurity, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like a mental block. You're like, something ain't right with Windows. That's why I didn't frag.
There have been so many stories throughout esports where like someone will show up to LAN and it's like one of their first LANs and they like forgot to turn off mouse excel or something very basic on Windows. Do you have any stories like that where people just don't know what they're doing?
I have a couple of these.
You have a couple of these?
I don't know how many times this happened.
Personal experience?
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's about playing the game.
Right.
I mean, if you get used to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we need to get used to new setups at every tournament, right?
Yeah.
You're going from practice room to the tournament area. You need to get used to it. So at the end of the day, it's about adjustment and, just playing the game. So it doesn't really matter, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have anything. I didn't find anything. Nothing in my brain came to me, Josh.
When you guys play at like boot camps or at home, do you have the same monitors that you use on stage? And if so, do you also play with the monitor bases there? Or if you go to an event and you have like a monitor arm at home, like I do, and then you go to an event and then you swipe left to do like a flick shot and then your mouse hits the monitor base. Does that happen to you guys?
I have the monitor stand like normal at the tournament. I think there was a period of time where they changed the stand on the monitors from a newer version. And then I came to event and then like I'm actually hitting the stand now compared to how I was sitting. So I think I always try to mimic one-to-one how it is a tournament. So if all tournaments are using the specific monitor at some point, then I have to go by it. So because the colors are changing on the monitors, the monitor stand can be slightly different, and you want to have kind of set up one-to-one that when you're sitting home, the height, the chair height, the base, the mouse pad, so you're always feeling in one with the setup.
So you also go out and buy the gaming chair and...
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it depends. Like the gaming chairs are different every
He's
event,
got 5 gaming chairs. He swaps them out.
Like, which tournament we're playing next? Let's swap in this one.
I actually thought of, because I think PGL used something else. I was thinking about after playing Dama, they used another graphic card. So I was very close to thinking about buying another PC because the graphic card was way different than the one we currently
You know you've made it when you're buying a new graphics card for it. Just to prepare for one of the,
We call that professionalism in this business. What do you guys make of all the upsets that we've kind of had at this tournament? Like Vitality's gone out. ENCE is looking good with a brand new roster. Heroic was dangerous with a brand new roster.
Navi's out.
Yeah, Navi's out. Like the upsets at this event, I mean, they feel pretty legit, but I'm just surprised that so many of these new rosters are playing well. Can you guys attribute that to anything or?
The last 5 events was won by Vitality and us. So everything under that, in my opinion, Spirit was ranked 14 coming into the event, but knowing how they played and watching the demos, they were not number 14 in the world. So I think the points that was between number 3 to number 15 was actually, everyone was really close there, and it just took, I think the biggest upset is obviously Vitality not making it to the playoff. I think also slightly Navi. I think they play good, but they lost to Spirit, and then I think they lost to Falcons, right?
So half the upsets are upsets. And
yeah, but I think the rest of the team was like kind of up in there. I think the field is very, very close. I mean, all the new teams, there's a lot more unstable teams right now, and it's very hard to, for example, coming to this event, many of the teams we were watching it, there was not much information about how to play. Spirit only play Blast, but with the
Sure.
coach and Stanton, right?
Oh,
So
that's
it's
right.
like you don't get much of the new teams, and that's why I think there's also the upset, and it's also beginning of season where people are not at 100%, but maybe at 95.
I think it's not really a lot about teams being great, because it's the first tournament of the year. With talking about Blast, who cares? Like, it's just the groups. Who cares? People are coming there just to, I don't know, without the practice, I believe. And Katowice is the first big tournament of the year, and not everyone is fully ready. And with new rosters coming in, you can't be ready for them. And I believe the CS2, because of some more random than in Go, and of MR12, if you catch the momentum in the beginning of the game, it's easier for you to win. So it's more of it's like making upsets.
Sure.
To happen.
Yeah, a lot of factors going into it.
Speaking of MR12, do you think that it's MR12 or the economy or a combination of both that we see such different results right now? Because like famously, we were watching this Faze versus G2 thing 2 years ago where it went into like 18 overtimes, but the match was originally like 14-6 or something, right? And it's like, well, the game would be over by now if it was MR12. So does that impact? Obviously, it impacts the length of the game, but does that? Are we seeing more upsets because the games end quicker? Are we seeing strats done differently because you can't afford to just eco as often or save as often, and you have to play to actually go for more rounds?
Talking about upsets, we definitely get some more of them. Because of MR12, and sometimes when you have like S-tier player, whoever like Nico, having a bad game, it was like usually it was not the question of them having a bad match. It was just a slow start, and usually they were getting their numbers back going into the game with MR15, and I think with MR12 there's like no difference. Compared to the global offensive, because the economy is the same. You're just playing a shorter game, and I think the difference is basically only in game plan, because you can adjust your game plan less than before. You have less space for this. Like if you are losing by round, you are losing an eco. So just when you are losing round, you're losing 2. So if something is not working out with MR12, you can change the plan maybe only once, but previously you had more space to make adjustments.
Do you feel that pressure as an in-game leader, Kerrigan? With MR12, where you're like, oh, I better come up with a solution like right now?
Less room for error, no?
Yeah, I mean, there's less time to adapt in half. So if you have a game plan coming to the game, you have to realize way faster now than had with MR15, because the rounds are spiraling out of control really fast. And I think the key factor in MR12, even more than MR15, is adaptation in the mid rounds and mid games, because you can kind of like maybe understand the game plan, but the second the rounds are played out, you have to understand where the adaptation has to be done and what kind of step you can do now. Because I think as an IGL, I obviously have a plan in the beginning of the game and end of the game. But I'm doing that less in MR12, because some of the rounds I've created in the past of triple fakes and double fakes have been something I planned from the beginning of the game that we're going to end here. And with MR12, a lot of rounds can go back and forth, and you're getting some force buys in and some bad buys. And
Sure.
with MR15, it was way easier to kind of like project the economy of where you want to end in the late after half. So I think that's the key difference, is that you have to actually adapt more, or you have to have a very strict game plan from round one. So there's like 2 ways to go about it. But I also just feel like the comebacks are not as big as it was in MR15. Like some of those comebacks when it's like 14-7, 14-6, that's like huge comebacks. Now it's like 11-7. It's actually nothing.
Doesn't feel like a lead.
Yeah, 11-4, but it's also like it just felt way different in MR15 when it didn't come back than MR12.
Do you guys still get caught off guard with MR12 when halftime comes up? Are you guys like, oh god, that's fast? Like you see, like does your brain still think it's MR15 a little bit?
Sometimes the practice are taking 35 minutes. It's like that take
20-minute break. I take it.
I mean, I don't know. Not in the halftime.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe first week when you played, but you you're adapting and so fast to the game, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about matchup specific, and we can start with you guys. You guys get a chill in the quarterfinals, waiting for that semifinal matchup. What are your thoughts on the ENCE Falcons matchup? It seems pretty cool from the outside.
I can say that ENCE is a favorite team in this matchup because what they've shown in this tournament is great. Starting with a loss to VG, but after that they managed to knock out Astralis.
Yeah.
They won against Vitality and they won against G2, I believe. And they're showing a great momentum, which they got. And I think the crowd might buff at them because they're playing in front of their home crowd. Talking about Falcons, I don't really see them as a favorite in this match because what they've shown is pretty raw, I think.
Yeah.
They're too early to judge because they just changed their roster. Of course, there is a core of ENCE, but the main thing that they have a different coach. It's not a SO they had, and they're playing with Zonic, so they do need some time to get used to each other and to use Boros.
So I'd assume in terms of like ease of the game, you'd probably want to see a Falcons victory in the quarterfinals in terms of ease of your game. You think ENCE is the stronger team, so in theory you would want to play the weaker opponent? Or you want to play the crowd with ENCE?
I think it's going to be funnier to play against the crowd.
Yeah.
When you're going out and you're playing against 4 Polish players and Glaive.
Right.
And crowd is cheering heavily for them. Yeah.
I'd want to hear your thoughts after that game. Because you say the crowd's not going to affect you, but I feel like it's different when it smacks you in the face,
Oh, yeah. See, I don't know. I don't have any experience, so I'm not going to say anything. But to be honest, I just want to play against best teams here to understand on what level are we right now.
Yeah.
So that's it. I don't care. Like it will be ENCE or Falcons. I think the better team wins. And we will see after.
Has it struck your guys' team yet that you actually have a chance to like win the trophy? Like I was going through Chopper's like HLTV page because he's been playing forever, and I used to love Vegas Squadron. I know not so much you.
Inferno, bro.
But he's only got one event win like in his career, and that was the Daha event that you guys were just at. So. Has it struck that you guys can like add another trophy to the cabinet right now?
Not really. I mean, it's only thinking that we can beat anyone.
Yeah.
Not really like watching forward to get the trophy or setting any expectations. It's pretty much more about facing the enemy and whoever we face, just to see if we are capable of winning them.
Yeah.
Stylistically, which matchups do you guys like to have and which do you like to not have? Like if there's a team if you play a certain style, then the other team plays a style that counters that a little bit. Do you change your game plan up a little bit, or are you just like, shit, these guys are going to be hard and this is going to be a tough game because we're just going to get punished?
You have to adjust always. I think no matter what play style you play against, I mean, there's always going to be something that, other teams going to change in the moment. So, yeah, I mean, you will always have to adjust. Doesn't matter if you play VP or you play against heroic style, Counter-Strike. Yeah.
But VP is the most annoying team to play against?
Yeah, I mean...
You're saving in practice.
I'm not sure if annoying. I think they just have, obviously a different way of playing, which is interesting. Yeah, I mean... They just a different style, and you need to get used to it. And I think they are one of the only teams that is actually playing this way. So,
I mean, I think when it comes to what style you want to play, it also depends on what philosophy the team has. Like I think after I got benched in Astralis, I had a clear vision of being a team that's versatile in every given situation. That was my key factor when I did create these international teams and help with Faze, was that if you can have a team that can play slow but also explosive, you can always choose which style you want to play. But my main thing was when I was in Faze and played Astralis that nobody could beat, understanding that I would never be able to beat Astralis by their style, but I would be able to create a different style in the game plan to counter how they played. And I think that was what people didn't realize back then when Astralis was everyone always copies the best team in the world if they're doing something correctly. But what they don't get, they're always 2 steps behind them already. So if you can create a style that's always able to be versatile, explosive, and playing slow and being able to do that, then you can kind of like choose what direction you want to go in the game plan. So if you play VP, we're not gonna try to play the slow and methodical game because they are really strict and structured in the way they do it. And in an international team, it might be more tougher to do. So I think it depends on what philosophy your team has. If they are the best in the world and with one style, they should always try to keep with that. But if you're more versatile teams, which I think more international team has become over the past 2 years to kind of play different style. I think ENCE comes to mind as well, but I think they're very more explosive than playing late rounds. And I think that's why our team is kind of unique in many of the roles. We have 2 very, very explosive players, and we have also other players that can be explosive, but also some very late round grinders. So if you put everyone in different positions, they're able to win the game for you.
What are your thoughts on your matchup that you have? You're in the quarterfinals. You guys go up against G2, and like Josh said, it's not that grand final spectacle that it was just a couple of years back. But obviously, going to be. I mean, G2 hasn't looked great, but you have to know going onto a stage, they're probably the same way as you guys are. Like the stage just elevates it to a whole new level with Monacy, with Nico, with Hunter.
I mean, from my past experience with G2, is going to be a very explosive game. That's what I talked about. I think both teams are in this explosive category. Both teams have a lot of clutch factors. I think both team has a philosophy on how to play, and in some way they remind us of each other. But I think, I hate to say it, but I think it comes down to the individuals, like the players itself in the 3-on-3s against G2 has always done like that. It's not about how to outsmart and outplay the enemy, because there is so much fracking power on that server from both sides that even do the right call, multi-kill kind of left and right. And I think, I don't know how many times we did the right call, but Hunter just makes a 3K out of nowhere Mirage in like that overtime game where you don't expect it, right? So I think it's just about being ready, and I think for us, it's the mentality. I always believe we have one of the strongest mentality to reset no matter the circumstances, no matter the rounds we lose. If you can keep that up, and I think we have kept it up for a long time now, then I think we are hard to beat when we get in there. In my opinion, it just feels like the team gets into being a gladiator match, and we are ready to fight for every single inch and round and kill.
Cool. Now that we're a little bit into CS2, do you guys feel like the game has the games you guys play against opponents has kind of like adapted to CS2? Is it still kind of like everyone's sort of playing like it's CS:GO except CS2, or has CS2 introduced new things you can do as a team? I mean, obviously, like smokes blowing open is the easy one, but does it just feel like you're playing CS:GO in a different game, or has CS2 have players kind of adapted and come up with new ideas? Does that make sense? Yeah. Does that make sense, Josh?
Like if I were to answer the question, I would be thinking about, I feel like swinging and taking duels is something that's easier in CS2 that people should go for. And I feel like that's why we're seeing so much success from Spirit, because they're always doing it not necessarily alone, but together. So does this change suit your play style? And is that why we're seeing like elevated success? Yeah?
Yeah.
Might change after the 2 days update.
Yeah. So they might suck in the...
He just drops a yes and he's done. Okay.
I think there's less holding angles for sure.
Yeah.
I think the way people are playing on CT is like more like shoulder P and then they're counter strafe. I think that's the way that I have evolved a lot on the game itself, because I remember first week everybody was holding angles, but they couldn't hit you.
Yeah.
It's like that's the key difference. I think the past 2 months I've seen how CT have adapted to the T's wide swinging.
How do you kind of like work with that, considering we know there's going to be updates, and as we saw like last night, they just said they've reduced the peaker's advantage, and we don't really know how much or how much different it's going to feel. But I mean, I guess you just got to play the patch that you're currently on, right?
Exactly. You wake up, you turn a CS, and you just play.
And you
need to get used to it.
I think that's what we have done in our team. Like every single, like even we're an event, winning event, next day there's an update, we're going back home to practice. It's just adaptation all the time, being open-minded, understanding. I think Robin is really good at understanding mechanics down to the nitty-gritty thing. So he probably sat up all night and kind of like probably tested what it means actually in that sense, and can like tell us in the baby language, don't peek or peek.
Okay.
I'm sorry for bringing this back up, but you were talking about you can't hold angles in this game. There was a round you guys were playing each other. You rushed into upper B on Mirage with your USP, double dink a guy instantly.
Oh yeah.
Get his AK, come back to B, give it to you, and then they're like running up cat, but you're shift walking over to E box instead of like holding another angle or swinging them even. And as you're, I remember watching it, and as you're shift walking to your right, they're hard swinging into you. And I'm thinking, in CS2, aren't those like the situations you never want to be in, because they're going to see you way farther, and you're going to be like farther to your right, but on their screen, you're just standing out in the open.
Yes, but I don't think I even had time to get backside. You know, like as we are going back to B, they're already coming up short. So if I had, let's say, extra 5-4 seconds, I would probably try to get to like bench area to set up some of my teammates, because I think Brocky was trying to pick off my contact as well. But since they were already running up, that was the best, kind of the best position I could get into, right?
Also, he didn't have an armor, because like if you have armor, he might swing. Because if you have armor, you feel more comfortable. But one bullet in your body, you're dead. And you know they're holding. I remember I was running across and I said they're coming up.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, like, if you're in that situation, would it be better to kind of like stand in the middle of the open, like a weird off angle, or keep shift walking? I don't even know how to explain this.
I know what you mean, like a stupid, like more like off angle, but it's also like it can be overlooked. It's like if they overlook that area and they just look window and look right, you know.
Just because like the CS2 peeker's advantage thing, it's like if they're swinging into you and you're walking the opposite direction, then you're gonna see them like way after, and then maybe like in that situation, like holding some weird off angle is better than trying to shift it into the opposite direction. I
think you're right, but I think I got triple picked. I think they were like one was BFs, one was short.
You were dead no matter what. Situation, you were screwed. You were screwed no matter what. I was just thinking like, is it like in this game, do you just like commit to some like really weird shitty off angle? But yeah, that makes sense.
I said like if I had time to go bench, I would definitely be peeking out and taking all the duels basically there is. But yeah, I mean, that was probably the best position I could get into at that moment.
I dropped the Reiki and went back.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your teams like? Have you guys spoken as like a squad of spirit and said like, this is what we want to accomplish in 2024? Like, this is our goal for the year. Do you take it like, do you have like a big year-long goal you want to attain? Like, we want to be top 5, we want to win a major.
Nothing is set.
No?
Nothing.
So it's just event to event. We want to win this event, and then we go to the next event. We want to win this event.
Well, the main thing is that we do need just the games, just official matches, just an experience. We just made a roster, so we do need more games to be played, and especially going into this podec, it's a great experience to have, to play in the front of the crowd, to make the players grow, and grow as a team.
Okay, cool. For you guys, have you guys set up like year-long goals or anything like that for 2024?
I think it's, I mean, for us, it's obviously we want to be better than 2022.
That's a lofty goal.
That is.
Good luck, Frozen.
I mean, there was only one, like when we brought David, obviously he hasn't had a major yet, so I really want to help him accomplish that. But I also know that majors are not given, and majors, you have to create your own luck to win a major. I've been there, tried many times. It's all about having the right trajectory and the right mindset. And I think it is going to take a little more time with David. We are ready to win trophies, but we are not ready to create an era or stay dominant on the top yet. even when you make it to the top, it's always hard to stay there. So you have to choose between hitting the right peaks of prestige events like we did in 2022, or you have to kind of dominate and win a lot of tournaments in a row. I think for now, our team has only been in grand finals in CS2, which is, I think, is pretty good level when you think about where CS2 is and how hard it is to be constantly on top of your game, and hopefully we can keep pushing that forward and bring some trophies home. But yeah, there's not really a set goal. I think everyone in this team wants to and needs to be in the grand final. That's the pressure you have when you're in Faze Clan.
Yep.
And I don't think there's much more to say there.
Sure.
Besides, let's try to do better than we did 2 years ago.
Can I get your opinion, Kerrigan, on Glaive as a fellow in-game leader, as a fellow Dane? Like, it's kind of an interesting story, being, you two kind of vie, depending on who's talking, on being considered the greatest in-game leader in Counter-Strike. But this is a guy who won 4 majors, and then like out of COVID, he was sort of like left out in the cold, like wasn't on a team, which was weird. When he came back, were you like, oh, Glaive's back, and I know Glaive's good, he's going to make this team strong, or did you have some doubts about him bouncing back?
I think there's none taken away from Glaive. Like, what he did is like probably the highest peak of any IGL for 2 or 3 years. Nobody comes close to that peak of winning 4 majors, having the mentality and having the team to kind of achieve that, right? Yeah. But I also think there's different ways to look at it. Adaptions is one of the key works I try to work on constantly. No matter the game, no matter the team, no matter the organization, I'll try to win trophies for every single team. And I think what Glaive is doing now is exactly what I also wanted to see. Him out of the structure and the same situation, the same environment. It is always there you're gonna see the flair, or you're gonna see the greatness of an IGL. Can they repeat some kind of success? And over time, I think it's always easier to create success in the beginning. Obviously, his team is when you compare it to the MOUZ I had back then, I think there was more talents in the MOUZ squad I had. But I definitely think he is on the right path now to kind of show that there is some energy and some great IGL still left in him. Because I think the last 3-4 years was rough for him. If that was his motivation, it was the team, the environment, nobody will ever know. The only thing we can judge is how he does now, and so far done a great job.
So far pretty cool.
Yeah. Were there any more questions that I had that you remembered? Because I wrote down a bunch and you're remembering them, but I just forget. There was a game that we played like 10 years ago, and you were on a team with like Glaive, Pimp, Cajun B. Do you remember this team?
Yeah.
Who was the IGL for that team?
That team sounded.
I think. What was that? It was
SNF, I think, maybe, or
I think depends on when it was, because in our faculty we were Pronax, Glaive, and me, and we switched every event.
Every event, just like
everybody had something to say. But I think maybe Glaive was calling there. I'm not sure, because this is before TSM, and like when I joined TSM, I fully committed. So I got kicked, so I was definitely not the ideal. I got kicked by Pimp, and said he told me to keep studying and stop playing.
It's like, make sure you get that degree.
Yeah, I did.
I remember we were talking, and you're like, yeah, everyone should be going for their degree because no one knows what's going to happen in Counter-Strike. That was like 2 days before I got banned.
The leave Stern real quick.
Yeah.
How do you see IGLing kind of progressing from like way back then in 2014, early days CSGO, to where it is now? Has it been kind of like the frog slowly boiling in the pot and you haven't noticed it? Or is it kind of like a substantial change that you've had to just like every year you're learning all these new skills and it's just like applying it naturally?
I think from my experience, I think first of all, you have to learn the understanding of the game. Like when I think about the last 10 years when I called, I think there's different steps to be taken. I think I always had a great view for the game and understanding of the game because of the players I played with. Gobi taught me a lot about the game when I was a star player, and I understood how not to be a leader, but also how to be a leader. I think that was a great learning experience. And then once you understand the game, the next step is to kind of lead by example. I always try to put a discipline out there, how you have to work and how you have to motivate your teammates. I think the next step is obviously having the macros as a team and try how do I get my vision out to my players. And when I joined Faze, I had to understand how do I get my vision out to some of the best players in the world without telling them you guys shouldn't do this when they really want to do it. So I had to understand that my vision is important, but the vision from the players is even more important because they have to bring it out on the server. So I think there's a lot of learning curves in IGL, and I had a great journey to where I am today. I think without the Boston major, I would probably need be as strong mentality as I am now. I think I learned after Boston major that at any point, at any given moment, elimination game, final or semi-final, I can never let my team down in any of those things. I can let them down fragging-wise because that's uncontrollable, but I can control my way of leading, because if I'm not leading the way I need to be, then why I'm even leading in the first place? And I think that's the thing I've learned the most the last 2-3 years is how can I stay in the zone no matter the emotions I have? And that is still hard when you're a human being. And I think against a Spirit game, I kind of got out of it emotion-wise in the end. And I think the pressure has helped me to withstand that and understanding that at no circumstances in the most important games I cannot. But sometimes you are human, right? So,
is there any team at this event that's impressed you guys when you watched that you were like surprised about? Like any team that you came into this and you're just like, oh, they look really good. Obviously, the easy ones are like the ENCEs and the Heroics, but like, what team surprised you at this event? Anyone? Good or bad?
I would say Eternal Fire. I think they were shooting very hard.
Sure.
And I also think they actually had a great way of playing. I mean, they came out with a great game plan against us, I feel like, in some of those rounds. So
Major's probably gone on the same leadership learning journey that you have at this point.
A long journey. But no, I think definitely they were shooting really hard, and I guess you could see that they were all top 5 in FPL or something, right? So they have been grinding through the whole like vacation break. So we could feel that on the server. They were shooting hard and doing good moves. So I think out of the teams that are not obvious, I think they surprised me a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. They're great.
How have your...
I like it. just put it on the table now.
How have your expectations been changing as you guys progress and take down bigger teams? Because you come into the tournament and you're kind of like, oh, well, we're just coming in together. And then you beat like one good team, you're like, oh, what's going on here? And you beat another good team, you're like, oh, okay. And then now you're in the semis. How's that changed like game by game to where you are now?
No,
nothing. Just like, you just come in, you're like, we expect to be...
If you do have an approach to the game, and if it's working for you, you have to stick with it.
Frozen, you ready to start a Faze era?
Oh yeah,
baby.
We need to get there, right? Step by step.
Sure.
I don't think even these guys, when they were in their prime and won everything, I don't think it happened overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a process, and we're gonna get there.
How do you like seeing your MOUZ boys still have success?
Yeah, I was about to say when it's an Eternal Fire, I think MOUZ as well, like they're doing very good.
Right.
I mean, they had some dominant wins even, I would say. So yeah, it's nice to see them doing good, even without me.
Well, they got Brolin in there now. So.
I mean, I told him as I was leaving that like I have no worries about them like suddenly being like a top 30 team or anything, you know, because the base of the team was there already. So happy to see them doing good.
What was it like with Shui as an in-game leader? Now that you've played under Kerrigan for a little bit, Shui had to. I mean, he's impressed everyone with his kind of leadership at such a young age.
I mean, I can compare to Finn, right? So I think Kamil was a little bit less demanding than now. So I think it's easy to compare Finn to Kamil, I would say, because now I think you know, there's just you just need to do more. There's more expected of you. Whereas with Kamil, it was more like, okay, he knows what I'm gonna do in the game. He didn't have to really worry about me.
Sure.
Since I was Lurg as well back then, you know, I was doing kind of my thing. I mean, now I'm as well more involved in the pack of the team. So I mean, stuff is changing. But I think in terms of demanding stuff, the leadership, as well, I think, for example, Finn, I think he has one of the most unique ways of like seeing Counter-Strike, especially the visualizations of the situations. But yeah, I mean, again, Kamil is still very young, right? He's my age, and he's just getting started.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to see him doing good, and I want to see where he ends up.
That's an interesting idea, that like your relationship to the in-game leader changes based off the role you're playing in the team. Like you're more involved because you're in the pack, and then you're kind of less involved because you're a lurker and you're sort of on the sides of things.
I mean, if you're a lurker, you're kind of, I mean, obviously you need to know what your team is doing, but
you're left your own
you are
devices.
getting activated of your team, you know? Like if your team is doing good, then you're going to get a good lurk. If your team is getting smashed, well, you're going to be called baiter at the end of the day. That's just how it is. I mean, now, I mean, I'm more of the, I would say, aggressive rifler again. So, yeah.
All right, guys. So between ENCE and Falcons, who are you more interested in going up against?
ENCE.
ENCE? You like the crowd?
Yeah.
That's going to be fun. Are you ready for a bunch of Polish people to be screaming at you for like 3 hours?
I just want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
In the game against the Polish players.
Right. And you guys think they're the stronger team too, so it's like it is like a little bit of a flex. Like you get to just test yourselves.
I don't know, to be honest. I think they lost their momentum yesterday after they lost. So I don't know who's going.
Fast with the crowd.
I don't know who's gonna win. Like,
yeah,
we will see.
Yeah, cool. And for you guys, G2 Faze, you're winning that one again, right?
One map is overtime for sure, and one is tighter, and one is smack.
Okay.
So, 2-1.
Let's see the order.
What's the formula?
Smack for who then is the question.
Obviously, it's gonna be a banger game. I mean,
Taz Neo,
we have
one
played
side.
Taz Neo as well.
Oh yeah,
it's
that's very
it's
cool.
gonna be funny. So
Has Neo been quietly talking any shit about Taz?
No, he's so quiet. He's such a nice guy. So I think the Polish guys like him a lot. The whole fans. So he doesn't talk much. So unless if Taz pulls up in the Mercedes on the stage, that would be fun.
That'd be so legendary. That's a great idea, actually. We got to get that Mercedes action. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.